Chapter 1119, Silently. When the 5 stars shattered, the devilish energy inside ancient devil Xianxia exploded. Combined with the previous 3 stars, the amount of devilish energy Xianxia had grew infinitely close to what a 9-star ancient devil would have. At this moment, Xianxia had already lost to Qing Lin. He no longer had any power to obtain Qing Lin's body, and the only thing awaiting him was death. However, Xianxia's unwillingness made it so that even if he died, he would take Wang Lin with him. Even if he died, he wouldn't tarnish the ancient devil clan, and would use his strongest spell. At this moment, Wang Lin could disrupt Xianxia and kill him, but he didn't do that. Whether it was for confirming his own Tao, or to respect Xianxia as a member of the ancient order, even he felt excited in anticipation for the spell. Xianxia's angry roar echoed, and his body condensed once more. In the blink of an eye, his body was the size of a normal person. However, the body that was now almost completely corporeal seemed to be filled with endless strength. His body was completely black with a horn and red eyes, allowing ancient devil Xianxia to give off a heaven-shaking aura. "Purple cloud!" Xianxia roared, and all the devilish energy behind him suddenly changed colors. In the blink of an eye, half of it turned purple and surrounded his body. Xianxia raised his hands and his fingers connected to form a diamond. All the purple gas around his body charged into that diamond-shaped seal his hands formed. In the blink of an eye, a purple diamond-shaped object appeared in his hands. "Devil calamity!" Xianxia roared, and a vortex appeared between his eyebrows. His devil soul flew out into the diamond-shaped object, causing it to shine even more brightly. "Go to hell!" Xianxia charged out and pressed his hands at Wang Lin. The purple diamond-shaped object flew out toward Wang Lin. At the start, the diamond-shaped object was only the size of a palm, but as it flew, it grew larger and larger. In the end, it covered the entire sky and descended on Wang Lin. Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes and felt the power inside the diamond-shaped object. He clearly felt this diamond-shaped object envelope him and completely separate him from his surroundings. At the same time, the diamond-shaped object rapidly shrank, and all the space in its path collapsed. It came closer and closer toward Wang Lin. Unfortunately, the purple cloud isn't too strong. Wang Lin shook his head, and when he opened his eyes, the diamond-shaped object was no less than 3 inches from him. From a distance, it was impossible to see Wang Lin. Only the giant purple diamond-shaped object was visible. It was as if it only needed an instant for Wang Lin to collapse like everything else. "Mountain crumbles," Wang Lin softly said, and a mountain immediately appeared. There was a loud rumble, and this mountain immediately charged into the sky. It wasn't just one. A second and third mountain appeared. In an instant, 9 towering mountains appeared around Wang Lin, and the purple diamond-shaped object immediately stopped shrinking. Under the might of the mountains, it seemed to be forced back. However, purple cloud calamity was far more powerful than any of Xianxia's previous spells. When it collided with the 9 mountains, the mountains began to crack. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he softly said, "Crumble." In an instant, the 9 mountains began to crumble and erupted like volcanoes. The eruption collided with the purple diamond-shaped object, causing a heaven-shaking impact in the air. While the mountain crumbled, Wang Lin slowly walked out. He stared at the ancient devil, who was filled with despair and unwillingness. "None of this is your own strength. It is just Qing Lin's mind cooperating with you and him giving you an inheritance that allows you to have this temporary cultivation level. If we were outside and not in this sea of consciousness, this devil could kill you as easily as crushing an ant. I refuse to yield. I'm unwilling to give up." "Ah!" Xianxia let out a roar, and he felt a chill in his heart. He never would have thought that Qing Lin's plan wasn't to find a powerful person to save him, but to absorb the rescuer into his sea of consciousness. Although most of Qing Lin's sea of consciousness had been occupied by the ancient devil, it still belonged to Qing Lin. He could cause any change he wished, but due to the ancient devil's invasion, none of those changes could attack the ancient devil. However, he had used someone else's soul and didn't hesitate to pass down his Tao. He had given control of the sea of consciousness to Wang Lin, which was equal to handing over his life and death to someone else. As a result, Qing Lin's sea of consciousness could transform as Wang Lin willed and simulate all laws of the world. These circumstances allowed Wang Lin to have the power of the third step. Although ancient devil Tajia knew that this was all temporary. After all, souls were different, and one couldn't forcibly control another SC of consciousness for long. It wouldn't take long for Wang Lin to weaken. Once they leave Qing Lin SC of consciousness, Wang Lin would be forced back to his original cultivation level. However, what was the point of knowing all of this? Ancient devil Tajia wouldn't be able to last much longer. Qing Lin, you win. Tajia revealed a bitter smile, but it was soon replaced by a ferocious expression. However, this devil has one last spell. I'll use the last moment of my life as an ancient devil to display the most powerful ancient devil spell. Even though I'll die, I will have no regrets. As ancient devil Tajia laughed, he flew into the air. He opened his arms and devilish energy surrounded his body. Then his body exploded before Wang Lin's eyes. The beginning, origin devil Dao. Tajia's voice descended from the sky and then his body collapsed. Dense devilish energy covered the sky, and in the blink of an eye, the world was dark. A pair of grim eyes appeared in the dark sky. In the blink of an eye, the darkness churned and countless pairs of grim eyes appeared. Their gazes all gathered on Wang Lin. This scene was very strange, and it was impossible to describe. Wang Lin's expression changed for the first time when he met the gaze of those eyes. "Your name is Wang Lin," an ancient voice echoed across the world. The moment the voice spoke, the pairs of eyes became filled with confusion. Wang Lin's eyes were crystal clear. "You began cultivating at the age of 15 and have now cultivated for over 1,000 years, however. You were an evil spirit. And stepping on the path of Tao meant destroying your relatives. Your father and mother died and your family almost was annihilated. Although a few survived, they are under constant calamity." As the sound echoed across the sky, the eyes were no longer filled with confusion but heart-wrenching pain. Wang Lin's body trembled lightly, but his eyes were still crystal clear. "Your parents died because of you. Your family died because of you." As the voice echoed, all the eyes turned blood red as if they were dripping blood. Some of the eyes exploded and blood fell. Wang Lin's eyes also became red, and his body trembled. "Your wife returned to heaven because of you and your son became a soul fragment because of you. None of your close relatives remained." As the sound rumbled, the pairs of eyes in the sky collapsed into blood. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot, and his face was extremely pale. His body trembled as he retreated a few steps, and his right hand touched his chest. Although this was only his soul, he could clearly feel the pain in his heart. This pain was like a poison that invaded his mind and destroyed everything. Dun Tian helped you, but he died. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor also helped you, but he also died. Even Zhou Yi stopped protecting the corpse he loved after meeting you. Even the Celestial Cloud couple was finally able to save Qing Lin after meeting you. The ancient void slowly arrived, and every word contained the power of law. As the words landed in Wang Lin's ears, it made his face even more pale. "Have you said enough?" Wang Lin muttered as he retreated. At normal times, if someone had said this, it wouldn't affect him. But at this moment, for some unknown reason, Wang Lin felt like every word intensified his pain, and it felt like his heart was being torn apart. Just as the voice appeared, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. His expression was calm and revealed a terrifying coldness. "I asked if you have said enough." The calm words contained no emotion. Wang Lin rushed out, and his right hand clawed at the sky. The countless eyes immediately collapsed and large amounts of blood fell on Wang Lin's body. "I, Wang Lin, have lived as an indomitable spirit. Although I've made mistakes, as long as I follow my Tao heart, it is enough." Wang Lin's right hand formed a seal and pointed at the sky while his voice echoed. "Celestial spell, falling star." As he spoke, a ray of starlight fell from the sky, penetrating the black fog, and landed in the Black Sea. Then rays of starlight appeared from an unknown origin and pierced through the black fog. Starlight even shot out from the Black Sea and straight up into the black fog. In the blink of an eye, starlight filled the world. As Wang Lin's arms moved, the starlight moved toward the black fog in the sky and a thunderous rumble echoed. The starlight gathered to form an indescribable impact that quickly spread across the world. At this moment, Wang Lin's body collapsed. Wang Wei, Hu Huan, Zhou Yi, and Qing Shuang all appeared one by one. Finally, a melancholy Qing Lin in green appeared. As the sea of consciousness collapsed, They all fell into the collapsing void and disappeared. In the green temple floating in the void in the rain celestial realm, Situ Nan cautiously guarded the door. He occasionally looked at everyone inside the formation, and anxiety filled his heart. The silver female corpse was the same, but her gaze was locked on to Wang Lin. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's body trembled, and he slowly opened his eyes. He silently stood up, walked next to the door, and silently looked out at the void. The VIDEO has reached first place in the ranking but still can't maintain the top position. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of VIDEO, Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 1120, New Rain Celestial Realm. The void outside the temple was completely dark and muffled rumbles could be heard. If you looked closer, you would see debris flying through the void as if they had lost their home. In truth, they indeed no longer had a home and could only float forever in the void. Inside the formation, Qing Lin opened his eyes that revealed the passage of time. This former celestial emperor looked like an old man despite the fact that he had the appearance of a middle-aged man. However, there was a powerful scent of decay when he awakened. Qing Shuang also awakened. She looked at the wound on her right arm and wrinkled her brow. She then moved her body a bit. It was as if she had been asleep for too long and hadn't adapted to her body yet. Wang Wei and Hu Huan were pale, but they also opened their eyes. Wang Wei's eyes were filled with excitement, and he immediately knelt on the ground. He respectfully looked at Qing Lin while trembling. Teacher you? Hu Huan, who got up and bit her lower lip, also nervously looked at Qing Lin. Qing Lin faintly smiled as he carefully looked this couple that were both his disciples and softly said, "You guys have worked hard for all these years." "Teacher!" Wang Wei's body trembled violently and 2 streams of tears flowed down from his eyes. He had waited countless years for Qing Lin to awaken. In order to make this happen, he had lived in the demon spirit land for countless years. All of it was to repay Qing Lin for accepting him as a disciple. Wang Wei could never forget that he was a little QI refiner who was a bit famous. It was his teacher who had given him a new life, a chance to reach the peak of cultivation, and also a lifetime of happiness. At this moment, Zhou Yi opened his eyes and looked at Qing Shuang. There was bitterness and sadness in his eyes, but above all there was calmness. Senior Qing Lin Jr. has a favor to ask. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at Qing Lin. "Are you asking as a junior or as my disciple?" Qing Lin's calm gaze fell on Wang Lin. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment before pointing at Situ and respectfully saying, "Teacher, this person is a friend of disciple, and he is affected by a celestial poison." Qing Lin's expression was calm as he looked at Situ Nan. He slowly said, "What amazing talent. Are you willing to take me as your teacher?" Although Situ Nan was arrogant, he wasn't as calm as Wang Lin when facing Qing Lin. After all, he hadn't participated in saving Qing Lin, so he was still in awe at Qing Lin. He hesitated a bit before respectfully saying, "This disciple greets teacher." Just as he spoke, Situ Nan looked up, said, "But teacher, this old disciple likes freedom, so you can restrict me." This sentence made Qing Lin laugh. "After your poison is removed, you can do as you wish." "Why would I restrict your freedom?" With that, Qing Lin shook his head with a kind gaze. He stood up and placed his hand on his daughter, Qing Shuang's shoulder. He softly said, "Qing Shuang, I am going to borrow the celestial origin energy in your body." With that, a powerful suction force came from Qing Lin's right hand, and a sliver of Qing Shuang's celestial origin energy split off into Qing Lin's right hand. It wasn't much celestial origin energy, just 1 silver. It was so little that even the little celestial origin energy Wang Lin had before was several times more than this. However, this sliver of celestial origin energy shined brightly in Qing Lin's hand. Although this light wasn't too bright, it lit up the entire temple. This green temple was no longer green and was like a sun. Qing Lin's expression was calm as he slowly walked forward and walked out from the temple. He floated in the void and looked at the drifting fragments in the distance. He looked at what used to be his home and revealed a bitter expression. At this moment, most of the celestial realm had collapsed. Even those fragments that hadn't completely collapsed were cracked and were in the process of collapsing. It seemed like it wouldn't be long before the rain celestial realm would disappear and become nothing but a memory for cultivators. After tens of thousands of years passed, then even those memories would fade and become completely forgotten. With a sigh, Xing Lin waved the golden light in his right hand, and the golden light flew out. The golden light was like a sun, and it lit up the entire void. Strands of golden lines appeared from this golden light and crossed to form a net that quickly spread out. These lines were the laws of the world, and the golden light contained vitality that could nourish life. As the golden light and golden lines spread, the entire Rain celestial realm was enveloped in them. The collapsing fragments stopped collapsing, and the floating pieces of rock stopped moving. Those vortexes that had formed due to the collapse seemed to stop their eternal rotations and became motionless. Reform celestial realm. Xing Lin's voice was very calm, but it clearly entered the ears of the people that had followed him out of the temple. Wang Wei and Hu Huan trembled and looked at Xing Lin with reverence in their eyes. Xing Shuang looked at her father's back without any expression. From the beginning of her memories, this father of hers had been the backbone of the Rain celestial realm. He had never had time to play with her, as he was always busy with matters pertaining to the celestial realm or cultivating. Xing Shuang still clearly remembered the collapse of the Rain celestial realm. The Rain celestial realm was built by her father's blood and sweat, but when she watched the Rain celestial realm collapse, not only was Xing Shuang not sad, she felt a hint of relief. This was a very complex feeling, and even she couldn't tell what it was. However, seeing her father reform the Rain celestial realm, Xing Shuang felt a stab of pain. Zhou Yi silently looked at Xing Shuang. When he saw the pain on Xing Shuang's face, his heart also trembled. When Xing Lin spoke, the golden net that spread across the Rain celestial realm began to shrink. The golden light now covered the whole realm, and those vortexes all silently disappeared. The shattered stones began to gather as if there was a force in the world pulling them together. The debris gathered in the void and soon formed a new landmass. The entire Rain celestial realm was a void except for this fragment that gave off dense celestial spiritual energy. As the golden net was put down over the earth, grass began to grow and water appeared out of nowhere. The fragment rumbled and mountains and majestic palaces appeared. The temple behind Wang Lin flew into the air and drifted to the center of the fragment before landing. From now on, this place is the new Rain celestial realm. Xing Lin's voice was calm as it echoed across the world. Wang Lin was sitting on the mountain in the new Rain celestial realm and felt the celestial spiritual energy that surrounded him. The scene of Xing Lin creating that golden line replayed in his head. He clearly felt the change in laws and the power of source origin energy. It had been 3 days since the new Rain celestial realm was formed. Situ Nan was brought into the temple by Xing Lin. Wang Wei and Hu Huan had picked a palace to settle down. It was obvious Wang Wei was very happy. Him being happy meant Hu Huan was happy. Wang Lin envied the happiness of this couple. Thinking about happiness, Wang Lin looked into the distance. In the distance, there was an iceberg surrounded by celestial clouds. Xing Shuang was on top of that iceberg. Xing Shuang's personality was extremely cold, even toward her father, and she didn't speak much. She only spoke a bit more when talking with Hu Huan. After the new Rain celestial realm formed, Xing Shuang used her power to form an iceberg and silently lived up there. She didn't allow anyone to come up. However, Wang Lin clearly saw Zhou Yi sitting at the bottom of the iceberg, looking up at the blurred figure at the top. It was as if he was guarding her, just like how he had guarded the corpse for 2,000 years. Xing Shuang's awakening might not mean happiness, for big brother Zhou. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at the blue sky. The new Rain celestial realm didn't have any spatial cracks and was very stable. The silver female corpse sat silently behind him. Her gaze would occasionally land on Wang Lin, but would quickly shift away. Wang Lin had been sitting here for 3 days. Aside from recalling the golden light Xing Lin had used, he spent time engraving the comprehension he had experienced while inside Xing Lin's sea of consciousness. His cultivation level didn't raise at all. After he left Xing Lin's sea of consciousness, he was still at the early stage of nirvana cleanser. However, a seed was formed in his body. This was a seed for the 3rd step for law and the pursuit of Tao. This was the gift Xing Lin had given him. Back then, when the heaven-defying bead activated, Wang Lin saw the 3rd step behind the door, but that was merely seeing it. Xing Lin had allowed him to feel the spells of a 3rd step cultivator, which was extremely precious to Wang Lin. This made his path even more clear. As he continued to comprehend, an extremely tired voice echoed in his mind. Wang Lin, come see me. Wang Lin raised his head to look at the temple and got up. He calmly walked toward the temple, and it didn't take him long for him to step inside. Just as he entered his temple, Wang Lin couldn't help but stop. Before him sat an old man who looked somewhat similar to Qing Lin. Upon closer inspection, it was clearly Celestial Emperor Qing Lin. However, for some unknown reason, he looked a lot older. Qing Lin slowly said, "Sit." Wang Lin sat opposite of Qing Lin. His expression was calm. Urgently wishing for all friends to push a round of video. Leo is extremely grateful. Chapter 1121. No worries about consequences. Qing Lin looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "Teacher was seriously injured back then and had to battle Tajia and Bei Lu after. Eventually, Tajia invaded my body. Although I'm not completely out of power, I need to enter closed-door cultivation to heal. I also learned about the state of the brilliant void star system from your senior brother Wang Wei. It is in complete chaos. This new Rain Celestial Realm will become a land for my disciples. The Rain Celestial Realm gate has been sealed so no one else can enter here anymore. If you have friends and relatives, you can bring them here to live in the Rain Celestial Realm. Once your teacher's cultivation has recovered, we can bring the Celestial Realm back to its former glory." As Qing Lin spoke calmly, his gaze met Wang Lin's. Wang Lin pondered for a long time and softly said, "Does Master know of ancient gods?" Qing Lin's expression was normal and nodded. "I'd want to know if the current master can resist an 8-star ancient god with the royal bloodline." Wang Lin looked at Qing Lin, his voice still low. Hearing the word royal bloodline, Qing Lin pondered for a bit and said, "I presume you re-speaking of ancient god 2C at planet Suzaku." Wang Lin wasn't surprised. Qing Lin was, after all, the Celestial Emperor, and 2C had been around since the Celestial Realm. It was reasonable for Qing Lin to know. When I was at my peak, I never considered him a threat. But due to some special reasons, I never went to check. Now I only have the power for one attack. Even he would be forced to retreat after taking my one attack. Power for one attack. Wang Lin let out a bitter smile as he understood the meaning behind Qing Lin's words. Qing Lin was too injured and only had power to use one attack right now. Although this one attack could deter Tuo Sen, it couldn't be used. Even if the enemy was forced to retreat, it would make the future perilous. Qing Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, "I have been entangled by ancient devil Tajia for far too long. The passage to the outside will open soon. I must quickly recover my peak cultivation. Otherwise, my sealed realm will be wiped out. However, if you need me, I can use that one attack for you." Wang Lin shook his head as he looked at Qing Lin and said, "Teacher, what calamity did the Celestial Realm face back then?" Wang Lin had this question in his heart for over 1,000 years. He still didn't know the reason. There was a hint of coldness in Qing Lin's eyes, and then bitterness emerged. Everything was because of the gate to heaven. Qing Lin was unwilling to say more, and his expression became even more complex. Wang Lin lowered his head and slowly said, "In Teacher's cave I met the Tattoo Clan holy ancestor." Qing Lin pondered a bit and softly said, "Do you believe her words?" Wang Lin didn't speak. The battle between the outside and the sealed realm has lasted for too long. You will know about it in the future. Qing Lin let out a sigh and ended this topic. "Go bring your friends and relatives here. With Teacher here, I can keep them safe." Qing Lin looked at Wang Lin and kindness appeared in his eyes. Wang Lin nodded before hesitating for a bit. Then his right hand reached at the void. A crack appeared and a crystal coffin slowly flew out. "Teacher, you recognize this coffin?" Wang Lin was nervous as he stared at Qing Lin. In truth, there was another reason he wanted to save Qing Lin aside from Situnan's poison and Zhou Yi's wish. That reason was to find information about this coffin. Qing Lin's eyes narrowed, and he naturally saw Wang Lin's nervousness. He carefully looked at the coffin before pondering a bit and nodding. "If Teacher isn't wrong, this should be the heaven-avoiding coffin." Wang Lin's mind trembled, and his breathing became rough. This heaven-avoiding coffin is not from the 4 celestial realms. It came from the ancient celestial realm. Rumor has it that it can revive the dead, but that is merely rumor. However, if you know the chant to operate this coffin, it should be possible to bring back a soul fragment. However, Teacher doesn't know the chant. Qing Lin's words gave Wang Lin hope but also made his hopes shatter. It was as if a heavenly hammer had hit his chest, and Wang Lin's face turned pale and bitter. If Qing Lin didn't know the chant, then who would? However, Qing Lin looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he looked at Qing Lin. The hope in his eyes were reignited. Teacher once heard that the heaven-avoiding coffin first appeared in the lightning celestial realm and belonged to Celestial Emperor Xianxia. Xianxia's cultivation level was just below mine and above Bai Fan's. She may have survived the collapse of the lightning celestial realm or still have disciples left behind. You may be able to find the chant of the heaven-avoiding coffin from her. Even if you can find her, it is fine. Once my cultivation recovers, I'll definitely help you. Wang Lin got up and clasped his hands. He was already content to get an answer like this. Go, get people you think are important and bring them here. I can help you keep them safe. Qing Lin looked tired as he spoke, and he raised his right hand. He waved his right hand and a rune appeared. It landed on Wang Lin's right palm and entered his body. When you want to return, activate this rune. Wang Lin nodded and looked at Qing Lin. He then put away the heaven-avoiding furnace and left. The cultivators that used to move through the Alliance star system all disappeared. The majority of cultivators of various forces had all gone to planet Suzaku. At this moment, a ray of light flashed through the sky. Wang Lin was very calm as he flew ahead. Although Qing Lin's awakening and the formation of the new Rain Celestial Realm didn't resolve his problems, it did make it so he didn't have to worry about consequences. He was going to send all those close to him to the Rain Celestial Realm. With Qing Lin's promise, Wang Lin could relax. He didn't want Qing Lin to help him against Tuo Sen, although it would temporarily eliminate the crisis. As Qing Lin had said, he could only beat and not kill. Therefore, there wouldn't be much of a point. I still have to rely on myself. Wang Lin understand that although he had saved Qing Lin, no one could help him when he faced a real crisis. He had no more real relatives left in this world. At a stretch, there was one person. Wang Lin clearly remembered that when his mind spread across the star system due to the heaven-defying bead, he saw Zhou Ru in the brilliant void realm. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he stepped forward. Ripples appeared under his feet, and he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was before an abandoned planet far away. There was nothing abnormal about this planet from afar, but Wang Lin knew that the transfer array to the brilliant void realm was here. Whether it was to deliver the jade the old divine emperor had given him, or to take Zhou Ru away, Wang Lin had to come to this brilliant void realm, even though he wasn't willing to face Mu Bingmei. Looking at the planet in the distance, Wang Lin let out a sigh, but he didn't stop. He directly entered the planet's atmosphere and landed on it. Recalling what he saw in the past, Wang Lin flew toward the location of the transfer array. However, just as his divine sense detected the transfer array, 4 powerful auras appeared around Wang Lin, preventing him from moving forward. At the same time, an ice-cold voice echoed. This is a forbidden place. If you take one more step, it doesn't matter where you are from, you will be destroyed. Wang Lin frowned as he stopped and said, I'm not here to battle. I've come to deliver a jade to the brilliant void realm on the behalf of the old vermilion bird divine emperor. The auras around him weakened a bit, and the cold voice echoed once more. Leave behind the jade and scram. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He could clearly tell that these 4 auras belonged to Nirvana Scryer cultivators. To have Nirvana Scryer cultivators guard the gate, this showed that the brilliant void realm was no weaker than any other alliance power. However, these 4 cultivators were a bit too arrogant. Even though they had detected that Wang Lin was a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, their words were still harsh. It was likely that unless a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator showed up, they wouldn't show any courtesy at all. He already didn't have any good feelings toward the brilliant void realm, but he had come here with the purpose of taking Zhou Ru away. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin suppressed his anger and calmly said, in addition to delivering the jade, I want to meet Mu Bingmei. After he spoke, a laugh echoed once more, and the cold voice appeared once more. To enter the brilliant void realm, you must take out an invitation jade. Do you have it? Wang Lin frowned and calmly said, I don't have it. I'll trouble you, sir. Without waiting for Wang Lin to finish, the cold voice immediately interrupted Wang Lin with an impatient tone. If you don't have an invitation jade, you can enter. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes became even stronger, but he suppressed it even more. He calmly said, I'd like to trouble you, sir, to send a message. Just say, there is no more time. This is the last time I am telling you to scram. This was the second time Wang Lin was interrupted by the cold voice. Killing aura erupted from his body and killing intent filled his eyes. After pondering for a moment, he suppressed it once more and calmly said, I'll trouble you, sir, to send a message. Just say, Wang Lin has come. If you have the guts, you can try to break in yourself. The voice was filled with impatience. If it wasn't for the fact that Wang Lin was a Nirvana cleanser cultivator, he wouldn't have been so polite and would have already attacked. Wang Lin smiled due to anger. He really didn't think that the 4 gatekeepers of the brilliant void realm would be this arrogant. Good. Good. Coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he stepped forward and waved his right hand. A sea of flames appeared in the sky, coloring it bright red, and fire rained down from the sky. His body flickered, and he appeared 1,000 feet away and pointed forward. The flames came crashing down. The place where Wang Lin pointed twisted, and a white-haired old man dodged with a gloomy expression. At the same time, the surrounding space twisted, and the remaining 3 people also appeared. Embarrassed, I've been remiss in saying thank you. Thank you all for pressing the like button. Thanks to the fellow Taoists for their praise. Chapter 1122. Zhou Ru. Anyone who dares to enter the Forbidden Land must die, the old man in white shouted as he quickly retreated to the other 3 to besiege Wang Lin. His right hand hit his bag of holding and took out a jade. He was about to crush it. Coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and he stepped forward. Ripples echoed, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared before the old man. His finger pointed to between the old man's eyebrows. Wang Lin could easily kill a Nirvana scryer cultivator. The old man's pupils shrank and filled with shock. He wanted to retreat, but he wasn't powerful enough to retreat from Wang Lin. Wang Lin's finger moved like lightning, chasing after the old man, and landed between the old man's eyebrows. The old man coughed out blood and popping sounds came from inside his body. Then his body collapsed. His origin soul wanted to escape, but it was captured by Wang Lin. The jade he wanted to crush fell in Wang Lin's hand. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It was so fast that it caused the 3 remaining old men to tremble. However, they were all veterans in battle, and they immediately scattered after a moment of shock. One of them quickly shouted, Set formation. After he spoke, all 3 of them formed a seal, and a powerful surge of origin energy gathered before them to form a giant axe that chopped down on Wang Lin. At the same time, the 3 of them slapped their bags of holding. A whisk and jade beads appeared before 2 of them. The whisk was completely black, and under the seal of its master, the strands of the whisk extended. They were like silk swords that rushed toward Wang Lin. The strands fell like a rain of swords and stirred up the origin energy of the world while they fell. The old man that took out the jade beads had 7 smooth crystal jade beads floating before him. The moment the beads appeared, the cries of babies echoed across the world. The crying faces of 7 babies appeared on the 7 beads, then they collapsed and 7 infant souls appeared. They let out mournful cries as they charged at Wang Lin from 7 different directions. The final old man didn't take out a treasure, but a jade. He was about to use the time his peers had bought to crush the jade and send information back into the brilliant void realm. The 3 of them had obviously cooperated for a long time, and unexpectedly didn't have to speak as they acted. If Wang Lin was an ordinary Nirvana cleanser cultivator, although he wouldn't care about the attacks of 3 late-stage Nirvana scryer cultivators, they would find it difficult to stop one of them from crushing a jade. After all, the 3 of them were very used to fighting together, and wouldn't give the other party the slightest chance. However, they were facing Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't even look at those attacks. He waved his sleeves and made the sea of flames surge and immediately blow away the black whisks. At the same time, Wang Lin pointed forward and softly said, Stop! With one word, the law of the world descended and all spells stopped. Even the 3 old men weren't able to move at all, and their faces turned pale. They watched Wang Lin close in and take the jade from the 3rd old man. Wang Lin casually waved his hand and the old man coughed out blood. Popping sounds came from his body, then his body collapsed and his origin soul was taken by Wang Lin. I originally didn't want to attack, but you all went too far. Wang Lin waved his right hand and one of the remaining 2 elders' body collapsed. He wasn't able to escape his origin soul being collected. His gaze fell on the last elder. there was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes. Someone who refined a treasure with the souls of babies can be forgiven. The last elder was the one that had sent out the 7 jade beads, and his eyes were filled with fear. Wang Lin was far more powerful than his understanding of Nirvana cleanser cultivators. If they had known Wang Lin was this powerful, they wouldn't have dared to be so arrogant. They didn't think they had provoked such a terrifying cultivator. However, what made him relax was that although Wang Lin had destroyed his companions' bodies, he hadn't damaged their origin souls. This meant that Wang Lin had to be worried about the brilliant void realm as well, but Wang Lin's words made his heart tremble. He helplessly watched Wang Lin close in, and Wang Lin's finger headed for between his eyebrows. When Wang Lin's finger covered his vision, pain filled his body. White flames appeared from the tip of Wang Lin's finger and surrounded the old man. There was no scream, but the old man's body turned into black ashes in an instant, including his origin soul. Out of the 4 Nirvana Scryer cultivators, 3 were captured and 1 was killed. Even until the very end, none of them were able to crush the jade. Without their control, the axe dissipated into origin energy. As for the whisk, it was burned to nothing by the flames. Those 7 mournful baby souls were filled with confusion. When Wang Lin saw those baby souls, his heart trembled and he recalled the past. He waved his sleeves and a vortex appeared to absorb the 7 baby souls. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he arrived next to the transfer array. He stepped into the transfer array and squatted down to mess with it. Then the formation lit up and origin energy surged from all directions. The formation activated and Wang Lin was enveloped in light. A moment later, the light disappeared and the formation was empty. The brilliant void realm belonged to a new space that had been opened up. This place was very beautiful and was almost no different from the celestial realm. The only difference was that there was no celestial spiritual energy here. Instead, it was filled with rich origin energy. The mountains pierced into the sky and the rivers flowed. There were little beasts frolicking around and cranes flying across the sky. The land was filled with harmony. There was a huge formation in the northern part of the brilliant void realm. This was the entrance to the brilliant void realm. And at this moment, there was a boy sitting outside the transfer array. Although this boy looked young, there was an ancient feel about him. It was obvious that he only looked like a boy due to his cultivation method. He was sitting there when he suddenly opened his eyes. He muttered a few words and looked at the formation. He saw the formation rumble and light brighten before reaching a peak in an instant. The space above the formation began to twist. It didn't take long for the light from the formation to dim and the sound to gradually fade. A person appeared above the formation. The boy was a bit lazy, but his body suddenly stiffened. He suddenly stood up and retreated before staring at the person that stepped out from the formation. The boy's pupils shrank and he said, "There is the scent of blood on your body." Wang Lin had already seen the brilliant void realm when he came here with his mind. When he walked out of the formation, he looked at the boy and calmly clasped his hands. "I ask you, sir, to send a message that I, Wang Lin, have come on behalf of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect to deliver a jade." The boy frowned and his gaze became cold as he softly said, "You got guts." It has been a long time since someone dared to break into the brilliant void realm. Hearing the boy's words, Wang Lin let out a sigh and simply ignored this person. His divine sense spread out across the brilliant void realm and sent out a message. "Junior Wang Lin has come to deliver a jade from the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor." The boy's eyes lit up, but he didn't attack. He continued to observe Wang Lin. At this moment, several divine senses swept over, and these included Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. There were quite a few of them that could kill Wang Lin. Wang Lin had dared to come to the brilliant void realm because he was confident the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor wouldn't harm him. Since he was asked to deliver a jade, then the jade would naturally not bring him any danger. Wang Lin didn't try to see what was inside the jade. He knew that it was better to not know some things. Aside from the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, the rune Qing Lin had given Wang Lin made him have not worry. As long as he activated the rune, he would return to the new reign's celestial realm. Zhou Ru was sitting on the peak of a mountain, cultivating in the brilliant void realm. Little White was beside her, lazily looking at the clouds. No one knew what he was thinking. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's divine sense arrived. Zhou Ru's body immediately trembled and she suddenly opened her eyes. "Uncle!" Even little White's body trembled and he quickly stood up and looked into the distance. Zhou-Ru's little face was bright red. It was obvious she was very excited. She had been looking for Wang Lin for a long time, and now that she had heard Wang Lin's voice, how could she not be excited? Without any hesitation, she turned into a ray of light and flew toward that divine sense. Little White followed Zhou-Ru. His big head swayed, and he was on guard. He still was very afraid of that cultivator that struck fear in him in the past. After Zhou-Ru left, an extremely beautiful woman appeared from the void where Zhou-Ru was. She silently looked ahead with a complicated and bitter expression. She lifted her feet and stepped forward. Wang Lin just waited there after he sent out his divine sense. It didn't take long before a few rays of light flew over, and they turned into cultivators before Wang Lin. They all had varying cultivation levels, and the weakest was at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser. They coldly looked at Wang Lin, and didn't consider him to be worth anything. The old man that had gone to the demon spirit land with Mu Bingmei didn't appear. It was a middle-aged man wearing purplish golden robes that appeared from the void before Wang Lin. The middle-aged man was filled with majesty. After he appeared, the surrounding cultivators all became very respectful. The middle-aged man's gaze swept past Wang Lin as he slowly said, "It is rare for the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor to come visit the brilliant void realm." Feebly asking, 4,000 words, does that count as a major chapter? Could it be hoping for the like button for the video and the followers too? Chapter 1123, I am sorry. When Wang Lin looked at the middle-aged man, he could only see that this person was a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator. Wang Lin didn't say more as his right hand reached at the void, grabbed the jade and threw it. The middle-aged man's expression was calm as he grabbed it and spread out his divine sense. However, he was surprised. He unexpectedly wasn't able to see the contents of this jade due to his cultivation level. However, he was able to see that the material this jade was made of was not simple. It contained a trace of origin fire. Along with Wang Lin's identity, this jade was not simple. This is? The man raised his head and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin calmly said, "The old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor found a secret in the Alliance headquarters before death. He asked me to deliver it to the brilliant void realm." The man nodded and knew that this matter had to be serious. His expression became even more dignified as he clasped his hands and said, "Thank you." Wang Lin waved his right hand and threw out 3 origin souls to the side. The 3 origin souls' eyes were all shut. They were clearly being restricted. Earlier, I didn't have an invitation jade and was impatient to enter due to the importance of the information in the jade, so I had to force my way in. As Wang Lin spoke, he grabbed another jade and tossed it at the middle-aged man. This jade contained a scene. It clearly recorded what had happened with the 4 gatekeepers outside. The middle-aged looked at it and calmly said, "We thank the Divine Emperor for teaching them a lesson on our behalf. However, a lesson is a lesson, and killing a person of my brilliant void realm is a bit unreasonable." Wang Lin calmly said, "Just an accident." The man stared at Wang Lin and smiled. "This matter is very important. I'll ask the Divine Emperor to please stay in the brilliant void realm for a few days. Wait until I hand the jade." Before the man could finish speaking, a cold woman's voice echoed, "Let him go." The moment this voice appeared, all the surrounding cultivators became respectful. Even the man in purple became respectful. Mu Bingmei appeared before everyone and looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. At the same time, 2 rays of light came from the distance and arrived before Wang Lin. The 2 rays of light turned into Zhou-Ru and Little White. Zhou-Ru became even more excited after seeing Wang Lin. "Uncle, it's really you." Zhou-Ru's eyes turned red and tears gathered. Seeing Zhou-Ru, Wang Lin revealed a smile and nodded. "Uncle is here to pick you up." Zhou-Ru had already grown up and noticed that something was abnormal, so it wasn't time to speak. She immediately arrived next to Wang Lin. When she looked at his white hair, her heart felt pain. Wang Lin looked at Mu Bingmei. He pondered a bit and slowly said, "I'm going to take Zhou-Ru away." Mu Bingmei bit her lower lip and softly said, "All of you, leave." The surrounding cultivators quickly agreed and disappeared without a trace. The man in purple looked meaningfully at Wang Lin and also left. Soon, no other cultivator remained beside Wang Lin, Zhou-Ru, and Mu Bingmei. Mu Bingmei avoided Wang Lin's gaze and looked at Zhou-Ru. She softly said, Zhou, after you leave, remember to cultivate daily. Zhou looked at Wang Lin and then at Mu Bingmei. In these years, she could tell that her teacher was very good to her, especially when her teacher saved her. If not for her teacher, she wouldn't have been able to meet Wang Lin again. Thinking about parting, Zhou's mood dropped and she nodded and softly said, "Teacher, Ru Air remembers it all. I won't abandon my cultivation. Moreover, Ru Air can return at any time." Mu Bingmei revealed a bitter smile. Zhou didn't understand that once she left, she wouldn't have a chance of coming back, because Wang Lin wouldn't allow it. "I am your teacher and you are my disciple. Since you are about to leave, let teacher gift you something." As Mu Bingmei spoke, she took a jade hairpin from her hair. She looked at it with a cherishing gaze and then threw it at Zhou. "Teacher," this Zhou was startled, and subconsciously caught it. She seemed to vaguely remember that Mu Bingmei had said that this hairpin was a very powerful treasure and was passed down by her own teacher. "Come here. Let teacher place it on you." Mu Bingmei's eyes revealed love for her disciple. After years of being together, she had developed feelings for her disciple. Zhou obediently arrived next to Mu Bingmei. Wang Lin originally wanted to stop her, but after hesitating for a bit, he didn't speak. She coiled Zhou's hair and personally put the hairpin in her hair. Mu Bingmei gently touched Zhou's head. The coldness in her eyes disappeared, and she softly said, "You have to remember that you will always be my disciple. My only disciple, the Brilliant Void Realm, is your second home. You can go." "Teacher!" Tears fell from Zhou's eyes. She had a vague feeling that her teacher and uncle knew each other. Only they weren't friends, but enemies. She feared that once she leaves, she would never see her teacher again. Wang Lin revealed a complicated look. With his wisdom, he could see that Mu Bingmei and Zhou's teacher-disciple relationship wasn't fake, but he didn't dare to believe it so easily. He thought of Liu Mei's ruthless domain and said, "Zhou." Zhou looked at Mu Bingmei as she retreated a few steps and knelt down. She kowtowed 3 times and cried, "Teacher, disciple is leaving." Go Mu Bingmei bit her lower lip. At this moment, her heart felt very painful, as if she was missing something. She took a few steps back, forced out a smile, and nodded. Wang Lin took Zhou, who was a bit unwilling to leave, into the transfer array and was about to leave. Just at this moment, Mu Bingmei seemed to muster all her courage as she looked at Wang Lin's back and softly said, "Wang Lin, I am sorry." Wang Lin's body trembled. He stood inside the formation but didn't activate it for a long time. "I am sorry, I am truly sorry." Mu Bingmei's body trembled, and 2 streams of tears fell from her eyes while she muttered endlessly. During these years, the pain in her heart had tortured her until she was about to collapse. Every night she awakened from her cultivation, and an inexplicable sense of confusion filled her. "Liu Mei is already dead. You are not her. There is no need to say sorry." Wang Lin didn't turn around as he felt his chest. His heart felt pain as the memory of when he first met Wang Ping appeared in his mind. The baby filled with resentment that stared viciously at his father. It was a nightmare Wang Lin could never forget. Liu Mei wanted to leave her figure in Wang Lin's Dao heart. She had succeeded, and even today she was still successful. I am sorry." Mu Bingmei's face turned pale as tears flowed down her beautiful face. When her tears fell on the ground, they seemed to produce the sound of someone collapsing. Wang Lin silently opened the formation. As the sound of the formation rumbled, the light became intense. Just at this moment, he seemed to have made up his mind. He stopped the formation and softly said something. "You really want to see him." Leo dreams of getting a lot of likes for this video, having many followers, plenty of shares, and everyone praising his good reading and the number of words he can read. So happy. Chapter 1124, Parting. Wang Lin left with Zhou. His complicated feelings toward Liu Mei and the memories of the past were buried deep within his mind. He never wanted to touch them. In the end, Mu Bingmei didn't see Wang Ping. Wang Lin didn't want to guess what she was thinking and left. It was like a barrier had split them into 2 worlds when the formation activated. It was as if they were so distant, not even dreams could reach across the gap. If the furthest distance in the world was not life and death but to be forgotten, then even that distance seemed a lot closer than the distance between Wang Lin and Mu Bingmei. It seemed the farthest distance one could reach was to be unable to forget. You want to forget but can't. You want to search for it but have no direction. The only thing left was time passing by, flowing down the darkness of eternity. As Mu Bingmei stared at figure that disappeared in the harsh light, tears flowed down once more. She wanted to see Wang Ping. She wanted to touch her child and hold him in her arms. However, she couldn't even more so, she was afraid. A flaw had appeared in her Dao heart due to Lu Mei. She should have cut this flaw out. Even though her Dao heart would be incomplete, the flaw would be gone. However, she didn't know what would happen once she saw Wang Ping. Her Dao heart could be complete, or it could collapse completely. If her life belonged to herself, she would have walked down the path without hesitation whether it was right or wrong. However, as the brilliant void saintess, most of her life didn't belong to herself. Just let all of this end like this. Mu Bingmei bit her lower lip and slowly turned around. Her figure looked even more lonely than Wang Lin. The sky was blue, and Mu Bingmei's heart also seemed to turn blue. It was a very powerful tone of blue. The void of space was so dark that not even the light from the stars in the distance could reach this far to cover the pain in Wang Lin's heart. He could only let this pain fill his entire body. As the pain continues, maybe it will stop feeling painful. Wang Lin sent Zhou Ru to the new Rain Celestial Realm. Zhou Ru's eyes were filled with reluctance as Wang Lin rubbed her head and revealed a kind smile. Back when he took this little girl and raised her, he gradually got the feeling of being a father. After seeing Zhou Ru, Wang Lin thought of Wang Ping and Li Muwan. Be good here and don't to waste your cultivation. You have grown up. Wang Lin looked at this spirited girl, and the kindness in his eyes became even stronger. Uncle, it was as if Zhou Ru was made of water as tears flowed down from her cheeks non-stop. She grabbed tightly onto the edge of Wang Lin's clothes like she did when she was a kid. She feared that if she let go, Wang Lin would never come back. Uncle doesn't to know if bringing you here is right or wrong, but Uncle can rest at ease if you are with Mu Bingmei. Wang Lin gradually suppressed the pain in his heart, and he gently looked at Zhou Ru. This child had accompanied him for many years. If Uncle never comes back, little Ru you can go find your teacher. Wang Lin closed his eyes and turned around. He pulled his clothes from Zhou Ru's hands and disappeared. Uncle Zhou Ru's tears fell on her clothes. Behind her, Hu Wan let out a sigh as she pulled Zhou Ru's hand and softly said, "Your uncle will return." In the eastern region, after the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor returned, the four divine sects went through a drastic change. The four sects were now one sect instead of four separate sects. There would no longer be four divine emperors, but just one named the Divine Sovereign. There were a lot of disagreements in the four divine sect toward this move by the Azure Dragon Divine Sect. However, all voices of opposition disappeared before the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor's strength. The holy treasures of the Black Tortoise Divine Sects and the White Tiger Divine Sects were no longer held by the sects and went into the hands of the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. The methods to using them were no longer a secret to the sects. Wang Lin's figure appeared within the eastern region soon after the integration was complete. The moment he appeared, he was found by the people of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect. Wang Lin calmly looked at the team of Azure Dragon Divine Sect guards, and those cultivators immediately lowered their heads. Wang Lin didn't speak and slowly moved past them. It wasn't until Wang Lin left that the patrolling cultivators looked at each other. One of them immediately took out a jade and reported this matter to the elders. One of the cultivators in this patrol team said in discontent, "He is no longer the Divine Emperor, so why are we being polite to him?" After returning to the eastern region, Wang Lin realized that the atmosphere was very strange. All the members of the four divine sect who saw him had strange expressions, but no one stopped him. It didn't take long for a red starfield to appear before him. That was where the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect was. However, just as he was about to enter, he stopped and turned around. He saw 7 rays of light close in and turn into 7 people. Among them were 2 Vermilion Bird, 1 White Tiger, and 4 Azure Dragon Divine Sect members. They were all elders, and their cultivation levels were low. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. He was familiar with the 7 of them as they were all elders who were involved in rescuing the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. When the 2 elders from the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect saw Wang Lin, they were ashamed and avoided Wang Lin's gaze. "Wang Lin, the Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign invites you." The person who spoke was a member of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect. He looked at Wang Lin with an apologetic look. He didn't know why the Divine Emperor had made all these changes, but he wasn't qualified to stop him. Wang Lin slowly asked, "Are the people I left at the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect safe?" After he heard the old man's words, he immediately speculated on the matter. This person hadn't called him Divine Emperor. It must be been because the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor had said something, and there was also the strange Divine Sovereign title. Combined with all the strange things he saw, Wang Lin became cautious. They are all safe. The person who answered Wang Lin was an elder of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect. Wang Lin looked at the elder and remembered that this was person who asked him what he planned to do after becoming the Divine Emperor. He nodded but didn't speak. Then he stepped into the burning starfield. The Azure Dragon Divine Sect members frowned and stepped into the burning starfield. The Azure Dragon Divine Sect elder said in a heavy tone as he chased after Wang Lin into the burning starfield, "Wang Lin, the Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign wants you to see him." Wang Lin ignored the elder. When he entered the burning starfield, his divine sense spread out with the assistance of the burning flames. He used spatial bending to quickly move to a different position, allowing him to scan the entire burning starfield. However, he didn't find any trace of Big Head and company. Wang Lin's expression immediately became gloomy. He turned around and coldly looked at the 7 elders chasing him. "Where are they?" Wang Lin stared at the 7 of them and quickly calmed down. He knew that anger wouldn't solve the problem. He had to remain calm. "Wang Lin, the Divine Sovereign wants to see you. Do you want me to say it a 3rd time?" Wang Lin slowly said, "Without me, the Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign would still be sealed in the Rain Celestial Realm." You, the elder of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect, stared at Wang Lin, and his expression became even more gloomy. "If not for the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, your Azure Dragon Divine Sect would have long vanished. If your Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign wants to see me, he can come here." Wang Lin wouldn't step out from this burning starfield. The monstrous flames here could greatly increase his power. The elder of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect laughed in fury, but the people around him became silent. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor died for the 4 Divine Sect. This old man admired him very much for this. At this moment, an ancient void appeared. It seemed to contain the power of a spell. When it appeared, even the burning starfield seemed to pause. The expressions of the 7 elders immediately became serious. They took a few steps back and clasped their hands in unison. "Greetings, Divine Sovereign." Pieces of green light appeared in the world and rapidly condensed. The surrounding flames seemed to be pushed apart by a pair of giant hands, and an open area appeared. The green light condensed into the appearance of the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor in this opening. Compared to the sorry state he was in back in the Rain Celestial Realm, the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, he was like a new person. His green robe flashed brightly and his hand was behind his back. A shocking pressure spread out and covered the area. "I presume you've returned to return the holy treasure." The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor reached out his hand and calmly looked at Wang Lin. There was not a hint of emotion in his eyes. They were completely cold. "Where are my friends?" Wang Lin retreated a few steps and looked at the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. He had felt like his entire body was going to collapse under this pressure, but he forced himself to endure it. The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor let out a smile, only this smile was extremely cold. "I didn't make it hard on them. All outsiders were sent to a planet at the edge of the 4 Divine Sect. I can abandon my identity as the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. I can give you the holy treasure, I can leave and never come back, but I'll take one thing away." Wang Lin never intended to keep the holy treasure. He waved his right hand at the void, and then a burning white stone appeared. There was also a drop of the holy blood inside. 3,000 words in a major chapter. Wish that the like button for the video would break. Chapter 112, Untitled. Once he reaches the mid-stage of Foundation establishment, he will be able to use several powerful techniques, like one from the Corpse Sect that will allow him to summon ghosts to fight for him. In order to get the soul flag from Teng Huayuan during their fight, Wang Lin was racking his brain for ideas. After making a decision, he took out a gourd with spirit liquid, touched the bead, then entered the heaven-defying bead space. Wang Lin hadn't cultivated inside the bead in a long time. Looking at the boundless space, there was a mass of gray gas above him. He felt a powerful pressure coming from the gas. The area was surrounded by thin and long lights that were very dim. When Wang Lin first entered the bead, these bodies of light didn't move, but after the water element was complete, the bodies of light began to move randomly. Wang Lin stood inside the space and tried to touch a body of light, but his hand went directly through it. It seemed that Wang Lin and these bodies of light were on different planes, so no matter how hard he tried to touch them, he never could. Although he couldn't touch them, he could easily control them with his mind. With just a thought, the light would start to move, form a pattern, scatter, or condense. As long as Wang Lin thought it, the light would react. Wang Lin had asked Situ Nan about the lights, but even Situ Nan wasn't sure what was going on. According to Situ Nan, this heaven-defying bead was very strange. This space was only one of its functions. Aside from time manipulation, Situ Nan hadn't figured out anything else about the bead. Situ Nan only knew that with his identity as the strongest cultivator of a rank country, no one in his cultivation planet dared to mess with him before he had obtained the bead. But after the bead came into his possession, some extremely powerful cultivators appeared and tried to kill Situ Nan. They forced him give up his body and to hide inside the heaven-defying bead only to barely escape with his life. Situ Nan had told Wang Lin before that based on his analysis, the people who were chasing him were definitely not from his planet. Situ Nan was very sure because by the time he reached his current cultivation level, he knew all of the experts on the planet, and for someone that was called the #1 cultivator in his planet, his cultivation level was very high. Most of the people that attacked him had the same cultivation level as him, and he was sure that only one of those people had surpassed him. If it wasn't for that fact that that person acted, Situ Nan wouldn't have given up his body. It has to be said that Situ Nan had many friends. If it was only people of the same cultivation level as him, he wouldn't have to give up his body because he was the #1 cultivator in his planet, giving him a home field advantage. When that person acted, Situ Nan knew that it would be pointless to get people to come and help. They would die one by one because Situ Nan knew that that person's cultivation level was not the same as his. Situ Nan's heart formed an answer. That person must have came from a rank cultivation country. Thinking about this answer, the heaven-defying bead became even more mysterious. Something that even a rank cultivation country would fight for must be a very precious treasure. Situ Nan told Wang Lin all of this and warned him time and time again to be careful. If anyone were to find out about this bead, then both of them will die for sure. Situ Nan calculated that if that person really was from a rank cultivation country, then it would be easy for them to send a search order to a rank country. Thus, they had to be very careful. Wang Lin thought about all of this deeply in his heart, but ignoring the fact that this heaven-defying bead might have any other functions, just the time manipulation was already heaven-defying enough. To cultivators, cultivation level is life. Every time one reaches a new level of cultivation, their lifespan increases. In addition to that, let us not forget about the feeling of being above everyone once you reach at the top. It has to be said that in the cultivation world, cultivating is very important. What are mortals and QI condensation cultivators to a foundation establishment cultivator? Although saying that they aren't even on the same level as dogs and pigs is a bit ugly, that is what the cultivation world is like. Similarly, in the eyes of nascent soul cultivators, core formation and foundation establishment cultivators are viewed the same as mortals and QI condensation cultivators. And if someone is at the soul transformation stage, then anyone at the spirit severing stage and below are people they can kill as they wish. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a determined look. He had already experienced the harshness of the cultivation world. The cultivation world was much crueler than the mortal world, and he must become stronger if he wished to survive. He must become so strong that everyone fears him. Only then will he not be bullied by others. If my cultivation level was spirit severing or soul transformation, not to mention Teng Li, even if I killed the entire Teng family, Teng Huayuan wouldn't dare to say a word, and wouldn't even dare to go find my parents. Power, everything is centered around power. Only after becoming a powerful cultivator can one determine the life and death of a person. Wang Lin's heart was in pain as his eyes turned cold. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and his divine sense spread out inside the dream space. Shortly after, both of his hands formed a seal. He then reached out and grabbed with his right hand. All of the lights gathered and formed a door. This was a function that Situ Nan figured out after the heaven-defying bead had completed its water element. Using the surrounding light to form a formation that allowed Wang Lin free movement in and out of the dream space. Wang Lin stepped into the door. This place was still inside the heaven-defying bead space, but the surroundings looked different. Before Wang Lin, there was a giant over 30 feet tall that was floating in the air while sitting cross-legged. There were countless objects emitting light surrounding the giant. Upon closer examination, the giant's figure was very plain, but there seemed to be yin energy gathering around him. His body was not solid, especially his chest, which had a giant hole and seemed to be ready to disappear at any time. There were waves of spiritual energy fluctuations around his body. At this point, the giant's eyes were closed, its body glowed, and it completely ignored Wang Lin. Wang Lin stared at the giant. This wasn't his first time seeing Situ Nan's nascent soul. Every time he saw it, he was shocked. He thought that if his nascent soul was so large, how large must Situ Nan's body be? 3,000 words in a major chapter. Hoping to be shared, hoping to get the like button hit for the video. Chapter 1125. Wang Lin calmly said, I want to take away the remains of the old Divine Emperor. The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor silently pondered for a bit. The coldness in his eyes lessened a bit but soon returned to normal. I think he would prefer to be buried in the Four Divine Sect. The old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor spent his life for the Four Divine Sect. Now that he is dead, he deserves freedom. I'll take him away. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a persistent gaze as he waved his right hand and the white stone flew toward the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. The Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign carefully looked at the stone. He let out a sigh and no longer spoke. He then turned and left, and the 7 elders left with him. One of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect elders turned toward Wang Lin. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but the Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign looked at him, causing the old man to sigh and not speak. Wang Lin left with the old Divine Emperor, whose body had turned to stone. He left the Four Divine Sect and saw Big Head and company waiting for him. The Four Divine Sect would no longer have any connection with him, but the look of the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect elder had made Wang Lin wonder. He faintly felt like there was something he didn't know. This was because the old Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor had also given him the Vermilion Bird Cloak and the token formed by the Vermilion Bird Spirit. The Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign didn't mention them at all. If you said he had forgotten Wang Lin, wouldn't he believe it? Also, the secret that only the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor would know, the secret that caused the war between the Four Divine Sect and the Brilliant Void Realm. The Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign hadn't asked him about it at all. After Wang Lin had taken everyone far away, the Azure Dragon Divine Sovereign sat in the main hall of the Azure Dragon Divine Sect. He looked very tired, and the 4 holy treasures floated before him. However, his gaze wasn't on the holy treasures, but outside the main hall. After a long time, he let out a sigh and withdrew his gaze. He muttered some words that no one other than him could hear. After sending Big Head and company to the new Rain Celestial Realm, he no longer had any more worries. He calmly floated among the stars, and then his eyes shined like the stars. A powerful aura surrounded Wang Lin. He was completely shrouded in battle intent. Tuo-san, it has been more than 1,000 years. You and I will have to battle in the end. Wang Lin's aura was monstrous as he flew through the stars. He used spatial bending as he quickly moved toward the familiar planet Suzaku. On planet Suzaku, there weren't many cultivators left around the planet. A majority of them had gone into the land of the ancient god. After they entered, they were cut off from the outside. No one knew if those cultivators were still safe. The land of the ancient god was a spatial crack, so nothing that happened inside would cause any change outside. The space outside planet Suzaku twisted and Wang Lin stepped out. Looking at planet Suzaku and the cultivators around it, Wang Lin took another step. When he appeared, he was on planet Suzaku's moon. There were naturally cultivators here, but thanks to Wang Lin's cultivation level, no one noticed him. Wang Lin found a mountain and hid himself inside. He then opened up his own space inside and carved a formation on the ground. This was the Qinglin celestial formation he had learned when he fused with Qinglin. It could hide all traces of him and prevent anyone from finding him. After forming the formation, he took out some celestial jades and placed them on the formation. His hand pointed to between his eyebrows and a portion of his origin soul flew out. Soul, take form. Wang Lin's hands quickly formed several seals. The origin soul turned into green smoke and circled him a few times. Then it condensed into a human form. Form body. Wang Lin bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood. A bit of his remaining celestial origin energy infused into this portion of his origin soul. The origin soul immediately shined red, and some of the rocks on the ground trembled as if they were being pulled. Soon, the rocks flew into the origin soul. It was as if a vortex had formed in the cave, as countless pieces of rock gathered toward the origin soul, and it gradually solidified. After about 7 minutes, a copy of Wang Lin appeared. Celestial Emperor Qing Lin's body formation celestial spell is very lifelike. Wang Lin closed his eyes. Even with his cultivation level, he couldn't tell if the origin soul before him was real or fake. If it was only lifelike, it wouldn't become Qing Lin's celestial spell. Aside from being impossible to distinguish it from the real body, it also had the ability to use almost the same strength as the true body. Only with Wang Lin's origin soul, it could only last 10 days. After 10 days, this avatar would collapse. Even if it was killed, it would only lightly injure the original body and not cause too much impact. At the same time, his original body couldn't move in these 10 days and would be in deep sleep. That's why it had to be used with the formation to hide his presence. Wang Lin's right hand reached out, and the crack to his storage space opened. The silver female corpse walked out from the crack. She didn't speak, and sat down inside the formation next to Wang Lin. The formation was here to hide him, and the female corpse was here to guard him. Wang Lin pondered a bit before placing down several powerful restrictions, and then did he finally feel at ease. He closed his eyes as if he was dead, and even his breathing gradually stopped. Even his heartbeat disappeared, and he was like a dead man. At the same time, the moment Wang Lin's breath and heartbeat stopped, the avatar made of stone slowly opened its eyes. After moving his body a bit, Wang Lin looked at his body inside the formation and the silver female corpse. Then, his body flickered and directly left the mountain. He used spatial bending to bypass all the cultivators outside planet Suzaku and reappeared on planet Suzaku. When Wang Lin passed by the cultivators around planet Suzaku, 4 people opened their eyes as if they had noticed something, but they didn't stop Wang Lin. After all, in these past several days, a lot of rogue old monsters had been rushing here. None of the cultivators that entered the land of the ancient god were more familiar with it than Wang Lin. After he entered planet Suzaku, he headed directly toward the Sea of Devils. Along the way, he didn't use teleportation to quickly arrive there, but spent the time adapting to his body. Only after he had fully familiarized himself did he speed up. Along the way, he passed the former fighting evil sect and the dragon formation formed by the carved mountain. He vaguely saw a woman carefully studying each scale only to produce a protective jade. He stared at the dragon from 1,000 years ago, even though more than half of it was damaged, and it only resembled a dragon a little. There was no longer a sect here, and it was completely desolate. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and disappeared. He passed through more than half of the Sea of Devils and arrived at the entrance to the land of the ancient god. It was completely quiet and not a single cultivator was here. It was clear they had all entered the land of the ancient god. Wang Lin headed inside the entrance without hesitation and appeared in the void. The moment he entered, a powerful smell of blood blasted him. There were countless stones floating in the void, and they were all dyed red with blood. There were many bodies floating in the void. There were cultivators and fierce beasts. There was the body of a 1,000 feet blue spider, a 10,000 feet giant python, and many fierce beasts of different sizes. There was even a dragon, but it had no wings, and there was a group of insects that were the size of an arm. There were still fluctuations of origin energy remaining here. It was clear that a great battle had occurred in this place. Most of the corpses here were burnt, some were frozen, and other leaked pus. It was obvious they were poisoned. The further he flew, the more bodies there were, and the number of causes of death increased. There was a giant python that was pierced by countless swords laying on a piece of rock. However, its eyes were still open and contained a fierce gaze. In the end, it was impossible to see a whole corpse, as it was all just broken limbs and body parts. Even Wang Lin, who was used to life and death, felt his pupils contract at this. However, he didn't stop and continued flying toward the entrance to the next level. While he was flying, a cold aura surrounded him. Wang Lin stopped and looked to his right. There was a large rock 10,000 feet to his right. There were many mutilated bodies on that rock, bodies of cultivators and fierce beasts. There was a black light surrounding the edge of the rock. Unless you looked carefully, it would be impossible to see the black light in this dark void. There was a burly man squatting in the black light. Only his upper body was naked and was covered in black hair as if he was a savage. However, if you looked at his head, no cultivator would think it was a person. There were more than 10 branches sticking out of his neck, and there was a head at the end of each branch. They were all on the ground chewing. Crunch! Crunch! This sound was very low and easy to ignore. However, the moment Wang Lin's gaze fell on this strange thing, the sound suddenly became louder. Wang Lin was eventually able to get a clear look at the source of the sound. The heads were fighting over a beast. It seemed like even the bones were being devoured. When Wang Lin saw the burly man also noticed Wang Lin. The more than 10 heads slowly rose and looked at Wang Lin. Some of the heads had blood coming out of their mouths, while a few were still chewing. Tonight there will be 2 to 3 new chapters. Leo will do his utmost to make up for the chapters missing from the last 2 days. You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1126, Battling Ji Qiong. At his instant, Wang Lin felt a chill fill his body. This chill pierced his bones and a powerful sense of crisis surrounded him. However, with years of life and death experiences, Wang Lin had a powerful mind and he remained calm. He didn't subconsciously retreat or escape, but just stood there as if he had taken root. His pupils shrank until they became black points as he stared at the fierce beast that looked like a burly man. Ji Qiong. The memories of ancient God 2C flashed through Wang Lin's mind before fixing on the memory of this fierce beast. After recognizing this beast, cold sweat appeared on Wang Lin's forehead. As his cultivation level, understanding of law, and experience increased, Wang Lin understood that cultivators weren't the strongest. There were some incredibly powerful fierce beasts. There were even some fierce beasts not even an 8-star ancient god would want to provoke, like the mosquito beast herd or the other memory Wang Lin had just recalled. It was a dark void. Not even the stars could light up this area. There was a purple planet far away. A figure hundreds of feet tall slowly flew out. This figure wasn't large, but there were 36 branches with 36 large heads attached to them. If one took a closer look, they would find that each branch was 10,000 feet long. As a result, the body of this strange beast could be ignored. After it flew away from the purple planet, it let out a roar. This was the collected roar of 36 heads, and it was heaven-shaking. Even space itself began to collapse and divide. It was a spectacular scene. The beast wasn't roaring at space, but at a giant ancient god not far away. There weren't many beasts among the stars that dared to roar at an ancient god, and even less that dared to attack an ancient god. The 36-headed Ji Qiong rushed at the ancient god while roaring. The scene ended here. Wang Lin looked at the Ji Qiong looking toward him and gently took a step back. One of the Ji Qiong's heads revealed hesitation. It looked at Wang Lin and then at the remaining corpse as if it was weighing the trade-off. Wang Lin slowly retreated another step and was on guard. From 2CS memories, this beast was extremely powerful. Wang Lin had to admit that with his current cultivation level, he'd find it difficult to kill or capture this beast, so he could only retreat. However, he had to be careful while retreating, and he had to do it slowly. If it was too fast, this fierce beast would immediately chase him. If this beast can become my original body's ancient god beast, it would make my original body's strength increase greatly. Unfortunately, as Wang Lin slowly retreated, the Ji Qiong's 18 heads gradually lowered and continued to chew on the bodies, making loud crunching noises. This sound echoed in this silent void and sounded particularly harsh. However, there was still a head that hadn't lowered to devour the corpse. It coldly stared at Wang Lin. As Wang Lin slowly retreated, the head seemed to wave like a snake and licked its lips. This was the head of a middle-aged man. His hair was a mess and blood was coming out from the corner of his mouth. It stared at Wang Lin while tasting the flesh in its mouth. After Wang Lin retreated 10 steps, the remaining 17 heads had all lowered, but the eyes of the middle-aged man lit up and he spat out a chunk of rotten meat. Wang Lin took a big step back without hesitation and turned into a ray of light as he escaped. The moment he moved, the middle-aged man's head let out a sharp cry. This cry had the power to even pierce through rock and metal as it echoed across this void. Some of the floating rocks immediately collapsed. At the same time, the remaining 17 heads suddenly rose up and stared at Wang Lin. Then they turned into a ray of black light and moved at an unimaginable speed, chasing Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. It was impossible to understand this beast by thinking like a cultivator. He originally didn't want to bother with it, but right now it was getting closer and closer. He couldn't use spatial bending inside the body of the ancient god, but he could teleport. Wang Lin's body flickered and he disappeared. However, as soon as he disappeared, the Jiqiong chasing him also disappeared. When Wang Lin stepped out from the void, his expression changed and he quickly stepped to the side. There was a bang and a 100 feet long sword energy passed by him. A gust of wind blew in his face and Wang Lin immediately looked back. The Jiqiong had also teleported while chasing Wang Lin, and the sword energy had come from one of its mouth. The 18 heads' eyes revealed varying degrees of bloodlust and greed. They all stared at Wang Lin as they rushed over. They seemed to want to devour him and get the taste of his living flesh. Wang Lin's expression was extremely gloomy as he teleported without a word. The Jiqiong let out a roar and quickly chased. The person and beast just constantly teleported within the void. The Jiqiong was very fast. If he couldn't use teleportation, Wang Lin wouldn't have been able to compare. However, Wang Lin was cautious and often teleported right after appearing, so he was able to maintain the distance between them. The Jiqiong's roars became even more angry. One of the heads, one that was an old woman, bit the tip of her tongue and spat out fishy-smelling blood. The blood moved and turned into 2 blood-red runes. One flew into the air and one flew into the earth. At this moment, a wave of blood light appeared and sealed the heavens and earth. All teleportation would be like smashing into a metal plate inside this sealed area. Wang Lin was just about to teleport, so his expression became even more gloomy. His hand reached out and opened his storage space. As the Jiqiong closed in, Wang Lin took out a yellow talisman. He placed it on his chest without hesitation and wind surrounded him. Then Wang Lin rushed away. His speed increased greatly as he disappeared in a flash of ghostly light. The Jiqiong's 18 heads looked startled, but they let out a unified roar immediately after. One of the heads, that of a girl, revealed a ferocious scream, and black wind appeared around the Jiqiong. This wind created a storm, and it charged out with the Jiqiong. It rumbled loudly as the Jiqiong chased Wang Lin once more. At the same time, chants came out from 4 other heads and countless black runes appeared. They shined and then imprinted on the storm. As a result, the storm's speed increased by several times. The distance Wang Lin had gained was instantly closed. At this moment, Wang Lin was already very close to the entrance to the next area. He could vaguely see a giant vortex before him. Wang Lin knew that once he entered the vortex, he could leave the void and get away from the terrifying beast. However, he didn't have the time. Although the storm sounded far away, it was already within 1,000 feet of him. If this continued, the Jiqiong would catch up before Wang Lin could enter the vortex. At this moment of crisis, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His left hand formed a seal and he waved his hand. A sea of flames immediately appeared, forming a barrier. He immediately turned around, and as did so, thunder flashed in his right eye and he pointed. In an instant, thunderous rumbles echoed in the void and endless thunder came out of Wang Lin's hand. The thunder formed a net and fell toward the flames. Just at this instant, the black storm around the Jiqiong collided with the sea of flames. There was a heaven-shattering rumble, and the flames immediately dissipated and scattered. The black storm also paused for a moment due to the sea of flames, but the 18-headed Jiqiong rushed out of the black wind and flew toward Wang Lin. The various 18 heads all revealed ferocious expressions, especially the middle-aged man, who was filled with excitement to eat living flesh. However, Wang Lin had already guarded against it. The thunder net immediately surrounded the Jiqiong. The thunder net popped and the Yi Qiong roared endlessly, but it did slow down. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His fire and thunder spells were powerful, but they weren't enough to injure the Ji Qiong, only hinder it. With how long these spells could block the Ji Qiong, he could still have a chance of entering that vortex and avoiding the Ji Qiong's pursuit. However, Wang Lin was unwilling to leave just like this. If you dare to chase me, then you must pay the price. Coldness appeared in his eyes as his hands formed a seal. Then his origin energy surged and a coolness appeared in his body. A slaughter aura suddenly erupted from his body and formed a net of slaughter energy. He let out a roar and pointed forward. In an instant, this slaughter energy gathered like crazy until it was only one dark red strand. It charged at Ji Qiong, creating a thunderous rumble on its way. All of this happened in an instant. The moment the dark red slaughter energy shot out, the Ji Qiong trembled and the thunder net around its body collapsed. The moment the thunder net collapsed, the slaughter energy whistled through the air like a meteor and appeared in the 18 pairs of eyes of the 18 heads. Good night, everyone. We will meet again tomorrow. Just wait a moment. Remember to like the video. Chapter 1127, One Head. It charged directly toward the one of the 18 heads. It was the middle-aged man head that was determined to kill Wang Lin. The slaughter energy was so fast that it closed in an instant. It landed on the head with a bang. Under this powerful impact, the Ji Qiong couldn't help but pause. Wang Lin didn't have time to look at the outcome as he quickly retreated. In the blink of an eye, he closed in on the vortex and stepped inside. The moment he disappeared, he turned around to look at the Ji Qiong, and his heart skipped a beat. The middle-aged man head's eyes were shedding black blood, but aside from that, it was unscathed. The Ji Qiong trembled, and all 18 heads looked up and let out a roar several times more powerful than before. This time, it was truly angry. As the roar echoed, even the vortex Wang Lin was in became unable. The Ji Qiong arrived next to the vortex in an instant, and charged in the moment Wang Lin disappeared. The first trial of the land of the ancient god was divided into metal, wood, fire, and earth trials. Back then, he entered the earth trial and took a risk to kill Hunchback Meng. This time, he entered the metal trial. The moment he walked out from the vortex, what appeared before him was a graveyard of swords. There were broken swords stabbed into the ground everywhere. At a glance, this boundless world was completely covered in swords, and it was impossible to count them all. There was a powerful sense of sadness from the swords that gave off a lonely aura. Wang Lin didn't have time to observe his surroundings and immediately charged out. At the same time, his right eye lit up and thunder surrounded his body. From afar, Wang Lin looked like a thunder celestial of the past. He didn't hesitate at all to charge out, then he pointed behind him. The thunder around him seemed to have found an opening, and it shot out behind him. Just at this moment, the dark sky behind Wang Lin twisted. The angry Ji Qiong stepped out and collided with the thunder Wang Lin had shot out. A thunderous rumble echoed across the sword graveyard when the thunder landed. The Ji Qiong let out a roar and ignored the thunder. The 17 pairs of red eyes stared at Wang Lin as it gave chase. However, Wang Lin's power of thunder couldn't be underestimated. When the thunder fell on the Ji Qiong, it made it impossible for the Ji Qiong to speed up. It was as if the Ji Qiong was going through divine retribution and Wang Lin was the heaven's messenger. As Wang Lin flew, his hands quickly formed seals. Thunder appeared from the void and flashed between his fingers before striking the Ji Qiong. The Ji Qiong continued to roar, the 18 heads continued to chant, and countless spells shot at Wang Lin. At this moment, a black cloud appeared before Wang Lin. It turned into a black tongue that quickly struck at him. Wang Lin's face was slightly pale and coldness filled his eyes. His right hand pointed at the void and called the wind covered half the sky. It turned into 4 black dragons and charged at the black tongue. A thunderous rumble echoed, and the impact spread out in a ripple. Wang Lin dodged to the side to avoid the aftershock. Then his right hand formed seals once more, and thunder appeared once more. A sea of flames also spread out along with the thunder. The Ji Qiong let out a roar. The eyes of a head that was a man with blue hair turned cold, and he opened his mouth to spit. A ray of blue light appeared and water vapor appeared before the head. The water vapor immediately began to swell and large amounts of water appeared. It swept across the sky, making it look like an ocean had just appeared. The moment Wang Lin as thunder and fire pierced through the ocean, a boy-like head spat out a mouthful of cold energy. This cold energy was a chilly wind that caused the world to tremble and filled the world with cold energy. Crackling sounds came from the ocean, and then the entire ocean froze into a glacier. The endless thunder was frozen within, and even the raging flames were motionless inside the ice. If that was it, it wouldn't be enough to be shocking, but the cold energy seemed to be able to create ice anywhere. Wang Lin clearly felt the cold energy coming at him from all sides. He noticed that there was hint of ice appearing all around him. Wang Lin had fought all his life and was very experienced, so he didn't panic at all. His body flashed red, and the vermilion bird armor appeared around him. After the armor surrounded his body, the white vermilion bird let out a cry. Wang Lin charged out and directly smashed into the ice that was appearing. Popping sounds appeared from thin air. Before the ice touched Wang Lin, it already melted. This allowed Wang Lin to charge through the ice forming around him. After charging out of the ice, Wang Lin lifted his right hand and endless thunder appeared once more. This time he didn't send it at the Jiqiong, but at the sword graveyard. In an instant, the thunder landed on the ground and created a thunderous rumble. The thunder spread out and affected all the broken swords. The swords conduct thunder, so it quickly spread, and soon, all the swords within 10,000 feet were covered in thunder. With a roar, Wang Lin mercilessly raised his hand. When the Jiqiong was within 1,000 feet of him, all the swords on the ground were affected by the thunder and pulled up from the ground. These swords fell down like a rain of swords at the Jiqiong while carrying the might of thunder. Coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The Jiqiong had killing intent toward him, and at the same time Wang Lin also had killing intent toward this Jiqiong that wouldn't give up. However, with his current cultivation level, it would be too difficult to kill the Jiqiong. If it wasn't for his speed, the Jiqiong would have caught up and devoured him. Although he was only here with his avatar and it wouldn't affect his original body much if he died, he had come here to see Tuosan's strength, so he was unwilling to accept death here. At this moment, all the swords on the ground charged up at the Jiqiong. Wang Lin quickly retreated. As he did so, his hand moved and shot thunder at the ground. Every flash of thunder caused a thunderous rumble and made countless swords fly into the air. As Wang Lin moved faster and faster, almost all the swords within 5,000 kilometers rose into the air. Thunder surrounded the swords, and the dense group of swords formed a tight net. The whistling sounds of the swords was so loud that it even replaced the sound of thunder and suppressed the Jiqiong's roars. Rain of swords! Rain of swords is the only appropriate term to describe this scene. The countless swords were covered in rust, but all the rust had fallen off due to the thunder. There were countless shiny swords before Wang Lin that shot toward the Jiqiong. These swords moved faster and faster. Sword energy and thunder spread out and charged at the Jiqiong from all directions. The Jiqiong roared angrily, and the 18 heads chanted and its hands formed seals like a cultivator would. As the 18 heads chanted, black runes appeared before each head. More and more runes appeared, and they appeared even faster. The runes formed a light shield that covered its body. At this moment, the rain of swords arrived. Bang, 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 bang. The swords collided with the light shield like crazy, and the thunder gave them an amazing power. Also, the swords carried an aura of no turning back as they smashed into the light shield. If the light screen didn't shatter, the swords would shatter. Rumble, 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 rumble. The swords collapsed one by one into dust that was pushed away. However, other swords penetrated the dust and collided with the shield as well. This process lasted for dozens of breaths. The light screen gradually trembled and emitted flashes of black light. The light screen was showing signs of collapse, but the amount of swords was decreasing rapidly. How could Wang Lin let it end like this? Shh. His hand moved, sending out thunder to even further areas. Just as the first wave of flying swords collapsed, the second wave of swords covered the sky and came crashing down. However, just at this moment, a roar came from inside the light screen, and the light screen turned transparent, revealing fire. The middle-aged man head among the 18 heads was spitting out large amounts of fire. However, this fire wasn't red, but golden. This golden fire charged out from the light shield and swept across the sky. The heat the fire contained was enough to melt all the flying swords. Seeing the fire, not only was Wang Lin not shocked, he was happy. After a flash of hesitation, Wang Lin's eyes became determined. It's a heavenly opportunity. Fire appeared in Wang Lin's left eye and surrounded his whole body. He shouted, 9 mysterious spell fire escape. There was no limit for him where there were flames. Wang Lin turned into flames and disappeared. However, when he reappeared, he was within 30 feet of the Jiqiong, within the golden fire. The moment his body reappeared and he felt the heat, even he felt like the heat was a bit unbearable. However, he clenched his teeth and charged ahead once more. This time, he appeared 10 feet above that middle-aged man head. Killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand, and an iron sword appeared. This iron sword had a large amount of rust on it, and the moment it appeared, all the flying swords in this trial trembled. The origin energy inside Wang Lin charged into the iron sword and flashed. The origin energy turned into an heaven-shaking and stunning sword strike. The sword landed and blood sprayed out everywhere. There was a bang, then a line of blood appeared on one of the 18 necks. The middle-aged man's eyes revealed a look of disbelief and he fell down. Without hesitation, Wang Lin withdrew his swords and rushed out. He used fire escape to grab the head and then appeared 10,000 feet away. He quickly left and didn't turn back. 4,000 words in a major chapter. Read an extra 1,000 words, wishing for the like button on the video to help. After successfully cutting off one head, even Wang Lin was shocked. Unless he was forced to, he would never have done what he just did. After all, the Jiqiong was an ancient beast that dared to fight an ancient god. His intention was to hurt the Jiqiong and thus give the second wave of swords a chance to attack. However, he didn't think this one strike would cut off a head. There wasn't enough time to think, so he could only grab the head of the middle-aged man that he found strange and escape. However, at this moment, the sky burst open into green flames, and there was a green fragment inside the flames. This fragment was like a piece of a porcelain that had shattered, but there was the power of heaven coming from that fragment. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, but he didn't stop at all. He grabbed the fragment and turned into a shadow as he charged ahead. At this moment, the branch with the head cut off rapidly shrank until it disappeared into green gas. The remaining 17 heads looked up, and even its burly man body trembled violently. Then it let out a heaven-shaking roar. This roar suppressed the thunder and spread out in all directions. The entire realm seemed to be flipped upside down, and all the incoming swords trembled. As the Jiqiong roared, it charged out. It was so fast that it instantly closed in on Wang Lin. The 17 heads chanted various spells and all attempted to devour Wang Lin. A storm immediately appeared and a green mist materialized from thin air. A giant green head appeared before the Jiqiong. It had the face of a human but was covered in scales and had a ruthless gaze. From afar, one could tell it was very large, no less than 10,000 feet tall. What was strange was that there was a handprint between the eyebrows of this head. This handprint was like a seal, and it released endless purple gas. As the Jiqiong roared, the strange head opened its mouth and attempted to devour Wang Lin. Just as the giant head appeared, countless strands of purple gas appeared in the sky and slowly formed a giant handprint. It didn't fall on the head, but toward the Jiqiong. The 17 heads of the Jiqiong seemed unwilling and continued to roar in resistance. It seemed that even at the risk of facing that handprint, it was still going to summon the giant head. Wang Lin's pupil shrank. He had felt something was wrong earlier. Although this Jiqiong was strong, it didn't match the strength he had seen in Tusi's memory. Even though the one in Tusi's memory had 36 heads, this already had 18 heads. This suspicion had appeared in his head, but he hadn't thought about it. Just as he began to suspect something, the Jiqiong used a spell that made his scalp numb. The moment the head appeared, Wang Lin's cultivation seemed to stop, and he was almost completely frozen. Just as the head attempted to devour him, a powerful suction force appeared around him. It wasn't a suction force he could resist, and with his cultivation frozen, Wang Lin was pulled directly toward the giant mouth. It seemed like the spell used by the head could devour the world. The flying swords in the second wave were all pulled over. If that was it wouldn't be so bad. What shocked Wang Lin was that even the world was trembling as if it was going to be devoured by the mouth. The world was torn apart and pulled over. There was spirit from ancient times named Jai. Every time it devoured the world, it would gain one head. At this moment, this sentence appeared in Wang Lin's head. His face was pale and his body moved like a meteor. He was getting closer and closer to that mouth. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin struggled to raise his right hand toward his eyebrows. Popping sounds came from his arm until it turned into stone, but he touched the spot between his eyebrows. With this, Wang Lin's entire right arm exploded and countless rocks flew into the mouth. However, after borrowing the explosion of the right arm, his frozen cultivation loosened a bit. In an instant, Wang Lin's left hand reached at the void, and the storage space opened. He quickly threw the fragment and iron sword inside, then a beast's skin flew out and landed next to the yellow talisman on his chest. This yellow talisman was a speed wither tattoo, and the beast's skin was another one. The beast's skin was made by Ta Shan using the inheritance from the tattoo clan holy ancestor. With 2 speed tattoos, Wang Lin's speed increased to an unimaginable degree. Borrowing this speed, Wang Lin clenched his teeth and struggled to escape the suction. He felt like he was smashing into large mountains. Popping sounds echoed as he charged out 100 feet. Just at this moment, his left leg turned into rock and collapsed into pebbles that were sucked away. The Yi Qiong roared non-stop. The 17 heads were all ferociously facing the handprint that was closing in, and the veins on all the heads had swelled up. The giant hand released a bright green flash, and the suction force increased. Wang Lin's right foot suddenly collapsed while he was attempting to escape the suction force. His body could no longer escape half a step with the increase in suction force, and he was pulled back toward the big mouth. Wang Lin let out a wry smile as he moved his left hand that was turning into stone. He didn't hesitate to take off the 2 things on this chest, and use the last of his cultivation to put them back into the storage space. After doing all of this, his vision blurred and he was devoured by the big head like all the countless flying words. The head turned into green light and returned into the Ji Qiong's body. At this moment, the giant handprint stopped 10 feet above the Ji Qiong. The 17 heads of the Ji Qiong looked up and revealed a hint of dread, but they still roared. At this moment, the handprint shined brightly, and the light enveloped the Ji Qiong. The Ji Qiong's body turned transparent, and its inside became visible. If Wang Lin hadn't been devoured, he would have clearly seen that 9 out of the 17 heads contained a porcelain fragment. The purple light slowly disappeared along with the handprint as if it had never been there. The caution in the eyes of the 17 heads gradually faded. At this moment, a blob of flesh began to move near its neck, and soon a 10-foot-long branch stretched out. There was a head on the end of the branch. The head looked like Wang Lin. At this moment, inside the mountain on the moon outside planet Suzaku, Wang Lin, who was inside the celestial formation, suddenly opened his eyes, and they were filled with terror. Ji Qiong. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He didn't expect the avatar he created to see Tuo Sen's power would die to the Ji Qiong before even seeing Tuo Sen. Although the beast was very strong, I could still deal with it and even cut off a head. However, looking at it now, it seems the beast didn't use its full power. Presumably, it was afraid of something. Wang Lin thought of the purple handprint that had appeared on the head summoned by the Ji Qiong and the one that appeared in the sky after the head was summoned. Could it be that it was sealed? If it uses its real power, it will activate the seal. That head that appeared was too terrifying. With those 2 wither tattoos, my speed was on par with a late-stage Nirvana Shatterer Cultivator S, but I stood no chance against the suction force. Wang Lin silently looked ahead and pondered for a long time. Then he let out a sigh as he muttered with a wry smile, "Wang Lin, your current cultivation level is nothing in this world. I still need to be cautious about everything." Wang Lin revealed a bitterness. In the demon spirit land, he battled Master Void, he battled the Ulcer with Sundered Night, he battled the Ancient Devil with Dream of Ancient Times. And then he became the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. After that, he successfully saved the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor and awakened Celestial Emperor Qinglin. Along the way, Wang Lin's cultivation level increased, and after becoming the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, he got the various forces to battle Tuo Sen. All of this made it so he couldn't help but feel like everything was under his control, and battling Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had unknowingly given him a sense of complacency. If he was still cautious, he would try to run away from the Ji Qiong instead of trying to injure it, and this resulted in his death. The death of his avatar was like a merciless blow to Wang Lin's mind. It completely shattered the trace of complacency in his heart to the point that not a trace of it remained. The feeling of death at that moment was very real, and it allowed Wang Lin to taste death for the second time. With bitterness, Wang Lin silently pondered for a long time before looking up again with a serious gaze. There was caution in his eyes as his hands formed a seal and pointed to between his brows. Another sliver of his origin soul split off. Just like before, he formed another avatar with the surrounding rocks and his origin soul entered it. Then, in a flash, the avatar disappeared from the mountain. Qinglin's celestial spell requires too much celestial origin energy, so if I make too many avatars, it will affect my origin soul. This second avatar is already my limit. Wang Lin closed his eyes and placed his attention on the avatar. Using spatial bending, Wang Lin arrived on planet Suzaku once more. He didn't hesitate to make his way to the land of the ancient god. He took a deep breath at the entrance and stepped inside. Wang Lin moved through the abyss using the caution he had when he was at the core formation stage, and he soon arrived at the vortex to the first trial. His right hand reached out and took out a flying sword. He put a trace of his divine sense inside and the flying sword flew into the vortex. The moment the sword entered, he detected a sandstorm. Brothers, have you not yet hit the like button for the video? Wish that the like button for the video would be hit. Chapter 1129. Exalted One. Earth Trial. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he charged in the vortex without hesitation. A world of sand appeared before him, and this familiar scene made him let out a breath of relief. Wang Lin dreaded the Jiqiong a lot. If he encountered it again, he would have no choice but to give up on checking Tuo Sen's power, give up this avatar, and quickly escape with his original body. Although Wang Lin was familiar with the Earth Trial, he was still cautious. He avoided all the dangerous spots he had found before and used a day to find the entrance to the next level. Then he stepped inside. Along the way, Wang Lin adhered to the principle of being cautious. He passed a lot of familiar ground as he entered the depths of the ancient god. He also met a lot of cultivators on the way. On the 5th day, Wang Lin entered the last trial of the land of the ancient god, which was the void. The moment he entered, Wang Lin immediately felt the fluctuations of spells echoing, and also the sounds of treasures colliding. He retreated without any hesitation. There was a large amount of cultivators in the void. There were dozens of cultivators not far away from Wang Lin, fighting with Old Man in Red. The old man looked very old, and he didn't even need to use seals. He just waved his hands to create spells. All his spells were never seen before and contained a sense of time. The moment he saw this old man, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He vaguely remembered that it was one of the ancient QI refiner cultivators that was in Tuo Sen's sea of blood. This old man was as powerful as a late-stage Nirvana cleanser cultivator. The cultivators fighting this old man all had coffins with them. The coffins were all opened, and corpse puppets were the main force attacking this old man. Although the old man was alone, the battle was extremely fierce. There were more than 10 dead bodies floating around. There were 7 or 8 cultivators standing around the battle. They were corpse sect disciples as well. There was a youth in black leading the way, and he was staring at the old man. He would often point with his finger, and the corpse puppets attacking the elder would change formation. Wang Lin's appearance immediately caught the attention of both sides. When the old man saw Wang Lin, his eyes shined bright red. The people of the corpse sect also spotted Wang Lin, but they didn't know Wang Lin's identity. The youth in black coldly looked at Wang Lin and waved his hand. 2 corpse sect disciples immediately flew toward Wang Lin. One of the corpse sect disciples clasped their hands and said, "Fellow cultivator, my corpse sect was the first one to battle this ancient QI refiner. Please, somewhere else." Although his words were polite, his gaze was hostile. The people next to him were the same. They had cold gazes. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he nodded and flew along the side. When the people of the corpse sect saw Wang Lin leave, they didn't pay attention to him anymore. The youth in black didn't even look at Wang Lin. He only looked at the old man in red, and his eyes were filled with greed. I must have the body and origin soul of this ancient cultivator. Wang Lin flew through the void and saw simply too many cultivators. These cultivators were all in small groups of 3 to 5. Some were by themselves, as if they were looking for something. Wang Lin also saw some of the ancient cultivators from Tuo Sen's Blood Sea, and they were all surrounded by large amounts of cultivators. Every time Wang Lin got close, he would be stopped just like with the corpse sect. Although they sounded polite, If Wang Lin took one more step, there would have been conflict. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but there was disdain in his eyes. Every time he encountered such a situation, he chose to leave. The temptation of ancient QI refiners is enough to fill some people with greed. There is a price to pay to obtain the cultivation methods and spells of these ancient cultivators. Although all these ancient cultivators had varying cultivation levels, they all had powerful spells. Often, just one of them had enough power to kill several of the cultivators fighting them. All the ancient cultivators Wang Lin saw were the weak ones from the Sea of Blood. Wang Lin hadn't seen a single of the strong ancient cultivators yet. I wonder where Master Flamespark and those corpse-sect powerful cultivators went. Wang Lin spread out his divine sense and looked. This void was too large for him to cover with his divine sense. On the 8th day, Wang Lin suddenly stopped and looked ahead. He saw a blood-red light suddenly appear in the void in the distance. There was also a thunderous rumble when the blood light spread. It had spread for an unknown amount of time before appearing before Wang Lin's eyes. Looking back, the blood light had already pushed even further away. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he charged out and teleported to where the ripple came from. This blood ripple caused a powerful origin energy fluctuation. Only a very powerful cultivator could cause a shockwave this powerful. Master Flamespark's face was pale as he stared at an old man in red. This old man was completely red. Even his eyes were crimson. However, there was no sense of madness, only a cold calmness. Spell fluctuations rippled around the two of them, and they both retreated, but they didn't say a word. The old man in red waved his sleeves, and a sea of blood appeared. The sea of blood turned into a dragon and charged at Master Flamespark with a roar. The moment the dragon appeared, it created 8 more heads, turning into a 9-headed blood dragon. It let out a heaven-shaking roar and closed in on Master Flamespark. This trick again? Master Flamespark quickly retreated as his hands formed a seal and he hit his forehead. A burning bead appeared from between his eyebrows. With a point of his finger, the bead turned into a sea of flames that flew toward the 9-headed dragon. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the old man in red moved forward. He moved like lightning through the blood dragon and sea of flames to arrive before Master Flamespark. He then raised his right hand and mercilessly slammed down. Master Flamespark was already on guard. He retreated once more and he spat something out. It was a small fragment that quickly grew. It was a celestial realm fragment. There was a loud bang when the old man in red's hand landed on the fragment, and he was pushed back. He then coldly looked at Master Flamespark and his hands formed a seal. He waved his hand and revealed a painful expression. Countless blood bubbles swelled up on his face. This sight was so shocking that it would make your heart go cold. Master Flamespark had been battling against this ancient cultivator for a day already, but they were still at a stalemate. Seeing the other's skin suddenly change like that, Master Flamespark was a bit shocked and immediately went on guard. His right hand reached at the void, and a crack appeared, and a fan flew out. This fan was completely white, as if it was made of jade. The moment the fan appeared, all the blood bubbles on the old man broke, and he was covered in blood. He released a beast-like roar, and his body immediately swelled up. The veins on his body swelled, and the old man no longer looked human. His body flickered and immediately charged at Master Flamespark. Master Flamespark retreated and was about to use the fan when he suddenly stopped. He revealed a respectful expression and then put away the fan. An old hand silently appeared before the charging old man. The hand's index finger gently pointed forward. This casual point made it seem like the old man in red had collided with it on his own. The finger landed between the old man's eyebrows. The old man's body trembled. The finger pierced through the old man's skull as if poking through a piece of paper. The old man in red's head exploded into a bloodlight that spread like crazy in all directions. Even his body collapsed. An old man in black walked out from the void. His expression was calm as he walked out and revealed a hint of melancholy. I didn't think he was really hiding here. Master Flamespark had a respectful expression and said, "Greetings, Exalted One." The old man in black frowned and muttered to himself, "Such a big movement can even make him appear?" What exactly is his goal? Exalted One outside planet Suzaku before. That treasure, those words Master Flamespark didn't agree with coming here. But it was this person's order, so he had no power to refuse. At this moment, he vaguely pointed out that terrifying existence. The old man silently pondered. After a long time, he shook his head and let out a sigh. Master Wuji, what exactly are you trying to do? At the same time, inside the blood sea on the large stone pillar, Tuo Sen stood up. He looked at the blood-red sky and revealed a ferocious smile. I can kill enough this time. With a mad laugh, Tuo Sen took a step, and his right hand reached out to tear the sky. A large rift appeared in the blood sea, and what was on the outside was the void where most of the cultivators were located. There were hundreds of cultivators sitting at the bottom of the blood sea. All of them opened their eyes and flew into the air. Thank you all for the support, especially for the large golden gifts from Leo. Leo is so touched he could cry. By the end of this month, Leo's video is facing a challenge in the popular rankings, hoping to get more likes for the video. Chapter 1130, Corpse Sect S8 Kings. As Tuo Sen's laughter echoed, the entire world changed color. The endless blood sea began to rage and release angry roars. Tuo Sen's red hair flowed as he tore the sky once more with a ferocious smile. The crack in the sky was ripped open, making it several times larger. From a glance, it seemed to go across the entire sky. This was like a piece of cloth being ripped down the middle and divided into two pieces. At this instant, the cultivators in the blood sea charged into the sky. Under Tuo Sen's command, they went into the crack and entered the void. Tuo Sen's right hand reached back and the sea of blood let out a heaven-shaking roar. It was as if an unimaginable force had appeared, and the endless sea of blood rose into air and shot toward the crack in the sky. As the blood sea moved, it turned into a massive ancient blood dragon that was large enough to cover the sky. It rushed into the crack with the ancient cultivators. When the large amounts of ancient cultivators charged into the void, a bloodbath began. All of this was because of one thing Tuo Sen said when they walked out from the crack. I want this land of the ancient god to be filled with the fragrance of blood. None of these ancient cultivators were weak, but they all had Tuo Sen's seals inside them, so they couldn't display their full power. After all, Tuo Sen had numerous seals that needed to be transferred to these cultivators. Often, multiple cultivators were needed for one seal, and not many could withstand one seal on their own. However, in the past 1,000 plus years, the seals had constantly weakened. Tuo Sen was recovering faster and faster, so the seals on his body had weakened. Along with that, the seals he had placed on the ancient cultivators also weakened. As a result, they were much more powerful than they were the first time Wang Lin came here. The void was filled with red shadows. The ancient cultivators that came out from the blood sea were like dragons coming out of the sea. Their eyes were filled with bloodthirst and absolute calmness. They began a slaughter in the void according to Tuo Sen's order. As long as they encountered a cultivator, no matter what side they were from, they were all prey for the red-droved ancient cultivators. If it was just them, it would have been impossible to begin a bloodbath in the void filled with cultivators. However, the blood dragon had earth-shattering spells, and its appearance caused the void to be filled with boundless pressure. The blood dragon's large body was 100,000 feet long, and it was very majestic. If one was too close, they would tremble from just looking at it. Cultivators were like ants to it. As the blood dragon roared, it moved through the void. Every time it moved, the bloodlight would flash and light up the void as sonic booms echoed. It didn't need to use any spells, as it moved at an unimaginable speed and all the cultivators before it would just die. At this moment, a group of corpse sect cultivators were besieging a red-robed ancient cultivator when a monstrous red light appeared in the distance. Before anyone could react, a gust of wind caused these cultivators to become unsteady and stagger back a few steps. At this moment, a giant red dragon head appeared across the horizon. No one could clearly see its face because it was too fast. The moment these cultivators' pupils shrank, the giant head arrived. The cultivators in front couldn't even dodge before the dragon head smashed into them. They suddenly felt like they were hit by a cultivation planet, and their bodies exploded with a bang into a pile of flesh. Then they exploded once more into a mist of blood. Not even their origin souls were able to escape at all and were pulled into the blood dragon through a mysterious force. The remaining cultivators were about to dodge, but the bloodlight filled their vision. The giant dragon head swept by them, and at the same time, the dragon's giant body appeared before the eyes of all the cultivators. This was the last thing they saw in their lives. As the dragon's body swept by, all the cultivators in the area died. Although all of this sounds slow, it only took 3 breaths of time. The sonic boom that lagged behind the dragon only arrived after this area was filled with blood mist. It wasn't just the cultivators of the corpse sect. None of the cultivators that encountered the blood dragon survived. Their bodies all collapsed, and their origin souls were absorbed by the blood dragon. The blood dragon swept around the edge of the void at an unimaginable speed. More than 1,000 cultivators had died to it already. Its body was longer than 100,000 feet and gave off a shocking pressure. It pondered a bit before it let out a roar and charged into the inner area. It was so fast, you could only see a flash of bloodlight, but it was impossible to clearly see the dragon. Deep within the void, the 8 kings of the corpse sect were flying through the void as 8 rays of light. They were chasing 4 ancient cultivators. No matter how hard they tried to escape, they couldn't escape the pursuit of these 8 people. The 8 kings of the corpse sect all looked to be of varying ages, but without exception, they all had cold expressions, and their faces were deathly pale, as if they were dead people. However, the power they revealed was heaven-shaking. Along the way, the 8 of them didn't separate whenever they encountered ancient cultivators. The ancient cultivators were immediately sealed and captured by the 8 of them. Right now, the 4 ancient cultivators that were escaping didn't run for long before their bodies began to twitch and slow down. In the end, one of the 8 kings waved their sleeves and was about to collect these 4 ancient cultivators. However, just at this moment, a blood-red light covered the void. Their expressions immediately changed, and they looked up. With their cultivation levels, they naturally saw the giant blood dragon coming toward them. This blood dragon was too large even for these 8 people, and their pupils shrank when they saw it. A purple-haired old man quickly shouted, "Set the 4th corpse formation." The 8 of them didn't hesitate to down and form a seal. The 8 of them moved at the same time, and a cold energy suddenly appeared. This cold energy increased like crazy, and quickly formed a piece of black ice. The ice crystal grew and grew, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into an ice giant more than 1,000 feet tall. The moment the giant took shape, the 8 people inside the abdomen suddenly moved. 1 person remained in the abdomen. 1 went to the left arm, 1 went to the right arm, 2 went to the legs, 1 went to the chest, and the last 2 went to the head to become the eyes of the giant. At this instant, the giant's eyes released a ghostly light as if it had awakened. An indescribable power erupted from this giant. At this moment, the blood dragon whistled through the void and smashed directly into the ice giant. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A heaven-shaking sound echoed with this place as the center and shocked all the cultivators here. At this moment, all the cultivators inside the void felt this vibration and looked over with terrified gazes. The blood dragon and the ice giant collided. The ice giant opened its arms and held the mouth of the dragon. The ice giant was forced back over 10,000 feet. Popping sounds echoed, and large amounts of cracks appeared on the ice giant. The 2 people in the arms coughed out blood, but their expressions became even more ferocious. Letting out a roar, the ice giant's right leg took a step back and a large amount of ice fell off. However, the leg didn't collapse. It completely stopped the dragon from pushing it back more. The moment when all 8 of the people inside formed a seal and let out a roar, a powerful force rushed out from the ice giant. The ice giant grabbed the dragon's head and mercilessly threw it to the side. The blood dragon let out a roar as soon as it was thrown. However, the dragon didn't stop. It swept its tail straight at the ice giant. A thunderous rumble echoed once more, and even more cracks appeared on the ice giant. The blood dragon waved its head. Even at such close distance, it was still able to reach the same speed as before. It charged out and smashed into the ice giant. Heaven-shaking rumbles continued and even more ice fell. The expressions of the 8 people inside became even more gloomy. Just at this moment, the eyes of the old man at the abdomen released a ghostly glow and he shouted, "Set the 3rd corpse formation." His voice echoed inside the ice giant and entered the ears of the remaining 7 cultivators. Just at this moment, the blood dragon slammed into the ice giant again, and the ice giant flew back like a kite with a broke string. The head of the dragon was a mess. It was obvious that these continuous collisions were difficult for even it to bear. However, the fierce dragon's eyes were red, and it charged once more. It was as if it wouldn't give up until this ice giant collapsed. The ice giant that was thrown back folded its arms and curled up its knees so its whole body was like a ball. The ice rapidly fused together, and it only took an instant for the transform from the 4th corpse formation into the 3rd corpse formation. What appeared before the blood dragon was no longer the ice giant but a giant ball of ice. What was terrifying were the countless sharp edges that appeared on the ball of ice. They gave off a dark blue glow and seemed to contain a powerful poison. At this moment, Wang Lin had a gloomy expression as he moved through the void. There were 3 ancient cultivators in red with cold gazes chasing him. As time goes on, a heavy dizziness is setting in. My mind can't cope. Tomorrow I will continue to burst forth with all my might. In 12 hours that will be doubling the likes for the video, hoping that everyone is ready with 2 likes for Leo. Thank you. Chapter. The moment the blood dragon charged in, the ice ball no longer retreated. Under the control of the 8 kings of the corpse sect, the ball of ice charged at the blood dragon. Both were getting closer and closer. In the blink of an eye they collided. A thunderous rumble echoed across the sky. The moment the ball of ice collided with the dragon, it was as if it had collided with a cultivation planet. It immediately shattered and exploded into 8 pieces. However, the moment it exploded, a powerful force came from the explosion and collided with the head of the blood dragon. Roar! The blood dragon let out a roar of intense pain. Its giant body trembled and retreated rapidly. Its body was originally made of blood, and was blood red. However, right now a ghostly light appeared around its body. Crackling sounds echoed wherever the ghostly light passed. It was as if this blood dragon was going to be completely sealed. The dragon quickly escaped as its painful roars still echoed. The 8 dark ice pieces that split off from the ball of ice quickly melted, revealing the 8 kings. However, when the 7th piece of ice melted, a crack appeared on the forehead of the middle-aged man. The crack soon extended across his entire body as if he was being split in 2. In an instant, his body collapsed and cold energy came out. The energy took human form and silently looked at the surrounding 7 people. This body couldn't withstand the power just now. Just as he spoke, an old man among the other 7 reached out of the void and a crack to a storage space appeared. A purple coffin with patterns carved on it immediately flew out. The figure formed by cold energy penetrated the coffin and went inside. A moment later, the lid of the coffin was blown open, and a boy around 7 or 8 years old slowly sat up. After the boy got up, he moved his body and then nodded at the 7 people beside him. The old man that took out the coffin said decisively, "Chase!" The 8 of them didn't hesitate to turn into rays of light and chase after the blood dragon. As for Wang Lin, he followed the blood ripple and charged at the source. However, when he arrived, there was nothing there but traces of terrifying fluctuations that hinted that a fierce battle had been fought here. Wang Lin didn't stay for too long and quickly changed directions. Before he moved very fast, he suddenly felt a ripple expanding endlessly inside this void. This vibration was not familiar to others, but Wang Lin clearly remembered that the void had trembled like this when Tuo Sen stepped out from the blood sea in the past. The vibration quickly disappeared, but more than 100 terrifying auras appeared. Wang Lin's scalp felt numb, and he quickly ran from where the terrifying aura was coming from. However, just at this moment, 3 rays of light appeared from the void. They immediately spotted Wang Lin and chased after him. These 3 red shadows were all ancient cultivators. 2 of them were at the early stage of Nirvana Cleanser. The last person had the highest cultivation level, peak Nirvana Cleanser, just 1 step away from Nirvana Shatterer. Wang Lin reached into the void with his right hand. He took out a yellow talisman from his storage space and placed it on his chest. A whirlwind surrounded his body, and he disappeared into the distance. He immediately created a gap between him and them. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. He knew that a lot of ancient cultivators had been released when the blood sea opened. These ancient cultivators' cultivation levels were like heaven and hell compared to before. It was completely unreasonable. However, thinking about how this involved Tuo Sen, it was not something Wang Lin could understand. Tuo Sen should be coming out soon as Wang Lin flew. Hundreds of ideas flew through his head. His divine sense spread out behind him, and he immediately frowned. The ancient cultivators had used some unknown method and their speed had increased greatly. Although the distance between them and Wang Lin was still growing, they were still chasing him. 2 early stage Nirvana Cleanser, a peak Nirvana Cleanser after a while, killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. If this continued and he encountered more ancient cultivators ahead, he would be in danger of a pincer attack. After scanning the area with his divine sense, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he suddenly stopped. He turned around, his hands formed a seal, and his eyes turned cold. In the blink of an eye, the images of volcanoes appeared around Wang Lin. As his hands moved, celestial origin energy was injected into the surrounding volcanoes, and they became even more solid. When they were about to become completely solid, Wang Lin waved his hand and all those volcanoes disappeared. This place is dangerous, so I must finish this battle as soon as possible. Wang Lin looked up and saw 3 rays of red light closing in on him. The one closest was the old man who was at the peak of the Nirvana cleanser stage. The old man was the fastest, so he immediately closed in. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes and took a step back. He then raised his right hand and shouted, "Stop!" With one word, law appeared in the world. The peak Nirvana cleanser old man felt countless wires appear out of thin air and entangle him. He immediately paused for a moment. Wang Lin's cultivation level was, after all, only early-stage Nirvana cleanser, so he immediately experienced backlash, but this kind of damage was something he could suppress. He immediately retreated. The peak Nirvana cleanser cultivator paused, but the other 2 behind him were also fast and immediately closed in. When they were within 1,000 feet of Wang Lin, a flash of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and his hand formed a seal, and he shouted, "Mountain!" With that one word, 2 volcanoes suddenly appeared before the 2 charging at Wang Lin. A powerful aura surrounded the area. The 2 old men's expressions changed and they wanted to retreat. However, Wang Lin had already placed his trap. As long as the 2 came within 1,000 feet, they would suffer the attack of mountain crumbles. Not giving these 2 old men any time, Wang Lin immediately shouted while he retreated, "Crumble." Rumbling sounds echoed, and the 2 volcanoes erupted. Large amounts of lava flowed out, creating a destructive force in the void. As the 2 volcanoes exploded, a powerful shockwave spread out. The might of mountain crumble was enough for Wang Lin to hold an absolute advantage among cultivators at his cultivation level. The 2 old men were in a sorry state. They both coughed out blood and were about to retreat. Killing intent flashed through Wang Lin's eyes. When the 2 old men retreated, Wang Lin took a step forward, turned into a ray of light, and appeared before one of them. Then his 2 fingers formed a sword, and he stabbed directly between the old man's eyebrows. This old man had already been seriously injured by mountain crumble, and at this moment, his body trembled before exploding. Just before he exploded, he revealed a smile of relief. Seeing this smile, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he took a step back. He was about to deal with the other person. However, just at this moment, a terrifying sense of danger enveloped Wang Lin. He no longer cared about killing the other old man and instead instantly retreated to the side. Just after he moved, a monstrous bloodlight filled the void. It was the blood dragon that was injured by the corpse sect's 8 kings. Right now, a small portion of it was already frozen in blue ice, which was a shocking sight. However, its speed hadn't slowed down at all. It was even faster than before as it swept by Wang Lin. The fierce wind caused Wang Lin's body to tremble, and a crackling sound could be heard. A crack appeared on his chest. A wound had appeared on his stone avatar. Wang Lin raised his head, but the blood dragon was now far away. The peak Nirvana cleanser old man and the early stage Nirvana cleanser cultivator, who was seriously injured, had disappeared without a trace. A chill came from Wang Lin's body. He was aghast at the situation. However, thinking about the blue ice spreading across the dragon, Wang Lin immediately flew away as soon as possible. With his cunning, he immediately guessed that this blood dragon was injured and was escaping. Therefore, there must have been someone chasing it. Wang Lin didn't want to suddenly meet a cultivator that could chase the blood dragon unprepared. He didn't retreat for long before 8 rays of light passed by and chased after the escaping blood dragon. One of the arrogant-looking middle-aged men looked at Wang Lin and was surprised. However, he didn't stop and disappear with the other 7. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his right hand reached out and took out the speed beast's skin. He placed it on his chest and immediately dashed forward. His speed reached a peak and he charged straight ahead. He had a vague feeling that Tuo Sen was about to appear. The blood dragon moved quickly and continued to roar. More than half of its body had already been frozen in blue ice, and this made it ferocious. It quickly arrived at the center of the void as fast as it could. After arriving here, the blood dragon coiled up, and chants in the ancient language came from its mouth. An ancient aura appeared, and the blood dragon suddenly let out a heaven-shaking roar. As the roar echoed, the power of time burst out from the mouth of the blood dragon and enveloped the entire void. The second watch has come. So thankful for the praise from the new clan leader. Last night Leo started from the starting point, immediately saw a new follower. I'm ecstatic. Thank you everyone. Chapter 1132 Master Wuji. Time was a time law, and it was a law all creatures could grasp, but becoming enlightened in it was very difficult. At most, one's domain merely contains a bit of law of time, and they comprehend it through their domain. In the past on planet Suzaku, Wang Lin met a person with a time domain. At that time, Wang Lin felt the power of that kind of domain. Even Yunkezi was very concerned about this domain back then. It could be said that on the entire planet of Suzaku, only that person had a domain like that. As the blood dragon's mutter echoed, the power of time from his body increased several fold. It was way more powerful than a domain and had already become law. This law was set by the blood dragon that used this spell. The law of time enveloped the entire void. There was a group of Al-Heaven cultivators. There were a dozen of them, and as long as they didn't meet any ancient cultivators too strong, they could stand their ground. However, when that power of time passed through them, the weakest of them trembled. He looked like he was in his 20s, even thought that wasn't his actual age. His body began to tremble outside of his control as if a cold energy had appeared in his body. Wrinkles appeared over his skin and soon overlapped with each other. He felt very tired and his cultivation seemed to become stagnant. All of this happened in an instant. The youth was only confused for an instant, but there seemed to be cries coming from afar. The cries seemed to contain intense fear. The youth was startled. He wanted to turn his head, but he found that his body was too stiff, and just turning his head was inconvenient. What's wrong with me? The youth's vision was blurry, like there was a layer of fog in his way. He slowly lifted his head to rub his eyes as if he wanted to rub this fog away. It seemed his rubbing had an effect, as he gained a moment of clear vision. He saw the cultivators around him all back up, their eyes filled with fear and terror. He saw that the junior sister that had been with him for a long time also had a frightened expression. She no longer had any of the tenderness of the past. What he saw last was his right hand, which he had used to rub his eyes, and he was startled. It was a hand filled with wrinkles and spots. The youth's body trembled even more as he lifted his hand to touch his face. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to let out a frightened sound, but that sound was buried with him without any chance of ever seeing the light of day. His eyes lost all vitality. His whole body aged rapidly before his companions. His hair fell off, his teeth rotted, and his bones crumbled until it seemed like his body couldn't even support his skin. His body collapsed into a pile of dust as he died of old age. This strange scene caused the surrounding cultivators to become completely silent as this was something outside their imagination. However, time was ruthless, so they didn't have time to think before a woman among them also showed signs of aging. Soon, this aging seemed to be infectious, as all the cultivators began to show the same symptoms. It was as if at this moment, the heavens had canceled their positions as cultivators, canceled their right to live hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years. It was as if all those years had descended on their bodies at once. These dozen cultivators were only a tiny part of the void. At this moment, the same scene occurred all around the void. No matter where the cultivator was from, as long as they were in this void, they couldn't escape the law of time. Only the Nirvana Shatterer cultivators could resist it. It was just that there weren't many Nirvana Shatterer cultivators. Every time a cultivator died to the law of time, an invisible aura would leave their body and charge toward the center of the void. Strands of aura moved through the void, and their speed couldn't be compared to Cultivator S. These auras seemed to already to be part of the heavens, and in the blink of an eye, they arrived next to the blood dragon at the center of TH. As more cultivators died, even more auras entered the blood dragon. Soon, the blue ice on the dragon began to collapse. It was as if new life was being injected into the dragon as the ice cracked. The 8 king of the corpse sect weren't affected by this law of time at all. They moved closer and closer to the blood dragon. From the opposite direction, Master Flamespark respectfully followed the old man in black. Although the old man in black didn't look like he was moving fast, every step he took looked like the void below him was shrinking. It was as if this infinite distance was only an inch long. This wasn't T's spatial bending where he merged with the world, but instead he was shrinking the void. He doesn't need to merge with the world because he was the world. Even entire realm was a mere inch. He was in now rush as he walked forward step by step in a certain rhythm. The respect in Master Flamespark's eyes became even stronger. He was following the old man, so he was naturally within the range of this mysterious spell. The moment the power of law enveloped the void, Wang Lin also felt it. However, his body was made of rock, and the age of this rock was impossible to calculate. This power of law surrounded him, but no matter how much time passed without wind blowing by, rock was still rock. As he calmly flew forward, he saw the surrounding cultivators disappear under the law of time. They all vanished without a trace. If we lose our identities as cultivators, without spells, we are still just mortals. Wang Lin felt melancholy in his heart, but he didn't slow down. If my original body came, I would be the same as them and become part of the void unexpectedly. Cultivators that have cultivated for hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of years can even compare to a piece of rock. Wang Lin shook his head. Seeing everything before him, he suddenly had a new comprehension for the word Tao. The blood dragons had absorbed the aura of countless cultivators that died to the power of law, and the blue ice on its body finally collapsed. Its large body rose up and it let out a roar at the void. The moment the roar echoed, a vortex 10,000 feet wide appeared and rumbles echoed. A voice came out from the void and slowly spread across the void. "Wu, wait for me to come." The moment this voice spoke, the old man in the distance stopped and his gaze became serious. Master Flamespark was silent. This was the second time he heard this voice, but this time the monstrous arrogance was even stronger. This arrogance had contempt for law and disdain toward the heavens. However, Master Flamespark didn't find these words arrogant. The power of the spear outside planet Suzaku proved that this person more than qualified to be this arrogant. The 8 kings of the corpse sect all stopped as they looked at the vortex in the distance and silently pondered. However, soon, varying degrees of greed and ghostly lights appeared in their eyes. Wang Lin also heard this roar. His body stopped and he looked up. His eyes revealed an unyielding gaze. No matter how strong the enemy or difficult the road, as long as Tuo Sen wanted to kill Wang Lin, he would never yield. "There are many people that want to kill me, but I am still living well." Wang Lin revealed a sneer and continued moving forward. This was the truth. These were the only cultivators that survived. There were also some Nirvana Shatterer cultivators that survived. After pondering for a bit, they all closed in on this location. The remaining cultivators outside the void fortunately escaped the law of time and survived. There was another location that existed outside his void. It existed in a place that didn't belong to the land of the ancient god, because it was the land of the ancient god. This might seem contradictory, but it says a fact. Planet Suzaku merely had the entrance to the land of the ancient god. This was a spatial crack that didn't belong to this space. This crack was extremely large enough to fit the giant body of an 8-star ancient god. Whether it was the void or the trials, they were all in fact inside the body of the ancient god, just like right now. Whether it was Wang Lin, the 8 kings of the corpse sect, or the old man in black, they were all currently in the chest of the ancient god. In this quiet spatial crack where the ancient god body had lied for countless years, if one zoomed in on the 4th of the 8 stars, they would see a person sitting there. This person was a middle-aged scholar. He looked ordinary, but he contained an extreme sense of arrogance. It was as if he had been sitting there motionlessly for a very long time. His name was Master Wu Ji. The new chapter is late, but it has over 500 more words than the previous ones. I hope not to be hit. Wishing for the like button for the video. Chapter 1133. 3 Trials, 7 Calamities. Tuo Sen's voice echoed across the void, and following that was the roar of the blood dragon. The blood dragon was like a fierce beast guarding the vortex, as it coiled up outside the vortex. However, this showed Tuo Sen as arrogance, or else he wouldn't have made the blood dragon open the vortex leading to the sea of blood. The old man in black didn't attack. He just silently looked at the blood dragon. No one knew what he was thinking. Master Flamespark's eyes lit up. Then he took a step forward and charged at the blood dragon. In the distance, the 8 kings of the corpse sect moved like 8 swords at the blood dragon. The blood dragon's eyes were alert. The strange formation the 8 of them had created had made it suffer. At this moment, its eyes lit up and it charged toward the 8 kings of the corpse sect, while completely ignoring Master Flamespark. It was so fast that it created afterimages. The 8 people of the corpse sect quickly scattered and surrounded the blood dragon. They all formed seals and bombarded the blood dragon with spells. After Master Flamespark closed in, he waved his hand and a sea of flames appeared. The flames turned into a flame dragon that began fighting the blood dragon. At the same time, Master Flamespark's left hand reached out and immediately took out a bell from his storage space. This bell was made of bones and was wrapped in a layer of metal. When it appeared, ringing sounds echoed. Even though the rings were in crisp, a ripple immediately charged toward the blood dragon. The blood dragon's eyes became bloodthirsty. Originally, the blood dragon only had a pair of pupils, but after using some unknown spell, its pupils split in half and then split again. In an instant, there were 8 pairs of pupils in the blood dragon's eyes. A sense of crisis immediately echoed within the hearts of Master Flamespark and the 8 kings of the corpse sect. However, they were powerful cultivators that had broken through the peak of the Nirvana Shatterer stage and passed their 5 heaven splites. They had lived for a long time and had extremely rich combat experience. The moment they detected this crisis, they didn't dodge, but instead attacked. When a powerful spell is being cast when its power reaches its peak, that is also its weakest moment. This was an experience the 9 of them had gained after countless years. Master Flamespark's right hand touched the spot between his eyebrows and 45 fragments immediately flew out. The fragments quickly enlarged and transformed into 45 Thunder Celestial Realm fragments that covered the sky. Power of the Thunder Celestial Realm. As Master Flamespark waved his hand, the 45 fragments let out a heaven-shaking rumble as they smashed down on the blood dragon. The pressure of the fragments descending unexpectedly felt like the might of the heavens. A thunderous rumble echoed and countless small parts of the blood dragon caved in. The minds of the 8 kings of the corpse sect were connected. Their hands quickly formed seals and 8 rays of light gathered. As the cold energy gathered, the 3rd corpse formation that froze the dragon earlier appeared once more. A ball of black ice 1,000 feet large appeared once more with the 8 of them inside. In the blink of an eye, countless sharp edges appeared on the ball of ice. Then it charged at the blood dragon. The blood dragon's pupils shrank. Then 1 pair of pupils among the 8 began to enlarge until it took the position of the other pupils. At this instant, a darkness suddenly appeared. This darkness was so dark that not even divine sense could see inside. One could only hear heaven-shaking rumbles echo inside. The darkness only lasted for an instant, before it was gone. However, after it recovered, 4 of the 45 fragments from Master Flamespark shattered to dust, and the remaining 41 were pushed back. Master Flamespark's eyes filled with shock. The ball of ice formed by the 8 kings of the corpse sect was also attacked by some unknown method, and the ice collapsed. The 8 of them all coughed out blood and shock filled their eyes. The old man that was still thinking looked up and frowned, but he continued pondering. There was one thing he didn't understand. What was Master Wuji's goal? Could it be to steal the power of the 8-star royal ancient god? But back then, even Celestial Emperor Qin Ling gave up. Master Wuji, what method do you have? Wang Lin was in the distance. He looked at the battle and didn't get close. That sudden darkness caused him to feel a powerful sense of danger, making him even more unwilling to get close. However, after seeing the blood dragon for a second time, Wang Lin felt like it looked a bit familiar. This feeling spread through his heart and Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. He naturally saw Master Flamespark and the old man in black. The moment he saw the old man, Wang Lin knew that the blood dragon wouldn't be able to do much. However, the old man was frowning as if he was thinking about something. He didn't even look at the blood dragon. He was able to force senior brother Xianxia back. He opened the spatial barrier with one spell. His body is filled with source origin energy, and he can touch all law. This person has to be a 3rd-step cultivator. There is no other possibility. The blood dragon's eyes had returned to normal, but not only did its fierceness not decrease, it was even more intense. The remaining 7 pupils enlarged once more and occupied its eyes. The entire void was enveloped in darkness. In the darkness, Wang Lin immediately felt a strange law wrap around him. It seemed to want to pull out his origin soul and become one with the darkness. This time, the darkness lasted for 2 breaths of time. After 2 breaths of time, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with confusion, and he took a few steps back. Cracking sounds could be heard as 7 cracks appeared on his body. His face was black, faintly revealing the color of stone. Master Flamespark, who was closest to the blood dragon, was pale and quickly retreated. The celestial realm fragments rotated before him and several of them collapsed. As for the 8 kings of the corpse sect, 2 of their bodies immediately collapsed and the other 6 retreated. One of them quickly took out 2 more coffins from his storage space. The 2 blurred figures immediately entered the coffins. In an instant, the 2 coffins shattered and 2 old men walked out. As the 8 of them retreated, their hands formed seals. One of the old men shouted, "Second corpse formation." At this moment, their hands moved even faster and lined up in a vertical line. Cold energy surrounded them, and in the blink of eye, black ice appeared. This ice was very dark, making it impossible to see the 8 of them. However, in an instant, the ice turned into a sword over 1,000 feet long. The moment the sword appeared, a heaven-shaking pressure appeared with a powerful sense of sharpness. It charged directly at the blood dragon with powerful sword energy. Master Flamespark's eyes widened as he bit the tip of his finger and quickly drew a rune. He hit the rune and then it flew out, flashing blood red on the way. The remaining fragments all scattered and charged at the blood dragon from all directions. It looked like they were going to surround the blood dragon. The blood dragon's eyes became serious, and the 6 remaining pupils flashed once more. This time it wasn't just one pair taking over. The pupils scattered and shared the eye. In an instant, the entire world became dark, and after 3 breaths of time, the darkness disappeared. Wang Lin retreated without hesitation and dodged the power of darkness. However, his eyes flashed and stayed locked onto the blood dragon. He felt the aura of an ancient god more and more clearly from the blood dragon. Master Flamespark's eyes became even more pale, but he continued to move forward. His hands formed seals as the dozens of celestial realm fragments continued to close in on the blood dragon. The sword formed by the 8 kings was now less than 1,000 feet from the blood dragon. Popping sounds came from within it as if it were withstanding some kind of attack. The darkness appeared once more around the void, and this time it lasted for 4 breaths of time. After 4 breaths of time, the void returned to normal. Wang Lin retreated even faster, but his eyes were very serious as he stared at the blood dragon. The sword formed by the 8 kings of the corpse sect seemed to have slowed down. After 4 breaths of time, it only moved forward 200 feet. Then cracking sounds echoed, and a crack appeared on the sword. The veins on Master Flamespark had swelled up and the fragments still closed in on the blood dragon. But all of this disappeared in an instant as the darkness enveloped the void. A rumbling sound echoed within the darkness, and the angry roar of the blood dragon could be heard. After 5 breaths of time, the darkness disappeared and Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. He no longer retreated but charged at the blood dragon. The large swords formed by the 8 kings of the corpse sect collapsed and the 8 of them coughed out blood as they retreated. Blood came out of Master Flamespark's mouth and he was forced back 3 steps before he stabilized himself. There was a large wound going from the head of the dragon down his body that was 10,000 feet long. From afar, this wound was very shocking. There was no blood coming out from this wound. Instead, there were fist-sized crystals that looked like its flesh leaking out. The blood dragon roared and its pupils suddenly spread once more. When the darkness appeared once more, Wang Lin sped up and desperately rushed in. Popping sounds echoed inside his body and his left arm exploded into ashes. However, he didn't slow down at all as anxiety and need appeared in his eyes. He didn't expect to see the heart blood of the ancient god here. With this, my original body will be able to get through the first lose of 3 Trial 7 Calamity. The end of the year is here, brothers. Give a like for Leo. Chapter 1134. Tuo Sen appears. The blood dragon naturally noticed Wang Lin, but in its eyes, this cultivator was only an ant. This cultivator would die to its darkness before he could even get close. And this was the truth. When Wang Lin was within 1,000 feet of the blood dragon, the darkness enveloped the void once more. However, this time the difference was that this darkness would make the old man in black pay attention to Wang Lin for the first time. All of this was because of Wang Lin. Wang Lin had already gained some enlightenment about the darkness from before. This enlightenment had nothing to do with his cultivation level. It came from his sundered night spell. Sundered night contained a hint of law of origin, and this was also the source of the law of light. All darkness would dissipate before this light. However, all existences were relative, and if there was the law of origin, there was the law of the end. This darkness was formed by law of the end. The moment the darkness appeared, Wang Lin used sundered night with his own power. He doesn't seek to kill the enemy. He just wanted to survive in this darkness. For the first and only time, a ray of light appeared in this darkness. Although it wasn't very strong, it still appeared. Inside the light, Wang Lin felt his body burning. His origin energy was burning, his origin soul was burning, and even his stone body was burning. He broke through the darkness while burning, and crossed the 1,000 feet distance. He then entered the wound of the shocked blood dragon. The moment he entered the wild, Wang Lin ignored his burning body and desperately waved his hand. Large amounts of the blood dragon's blood crystals disappeared and were collected into his storage space. His face was filled with ecstasy, but there was also regret. He didn't expect to obtain ancient god heart blood here. After all, with his understanding of the land of the ancient god, all the heart blood had been taken by Tuo Sen, and it was simply too difficult to take it from Tuo Sen. Obtaining the heart blood made him ecstatic, but obtaining this heart blood meant he had to give up observing Tuo Sen's strength, which made him feel regret. With regret and joy, Wang Lin's origin soul was about to be completely burnt when the darkness disappeared. His origin soul was about to collapse, and he was about to die once more. After all, he wasn't strong enough to use sundered night at will. However, just at this moment, the old man who looked over due to the light Wang Lin had caused, and he revealed a strange gaze. The matter he couldn't understand seemed to have been affected by the light in the darkness, and he had figured it out. With one step, the moment the darkness disappeared, he appeared next to the blood dragon. His right hand randomly pointed forward, and the blood dragon let out a roar before rapidly retreating. Thunderous rumbles came from its body as if it was going to collapse. The moment Wang Lin's vision blurred, the old man grabbed him out from the blood dragon, and Wang Lin landed before the old man. The old man's right hand landed directly between Wang Lin's eyebrows, and an unimaginable force rushed into Wang Lin's body. Popping sounds echoed, and Wang Lin regained consciousness. The origin energy that had been burned away was instantly replenished. His origin soul that was on the verge of collapse recondensed. Even the body that was burnt seemed to reverse and gain life. All of this only took an instant. A very good young man. The old man in black looked at Wang Lin and revealed a hint of admiration. Also very clever, since you came with your avatar to see the ancient god. Then this old man will satisfy your wish. Wang Lin's mind was in shock. His pupils immediately shrank when someone immediately exposed his plan, but he quickly returned to normal. The admiration in the old man's eyes became even stronger. He no longer looked at Wang Lin or at the collapsing blood dragon, but pointed at the vortex with his right hand. It was only one finger, but in Wang Lin's eyes, that finger could pierce the world. He recalled back in Al Heaven how one finger from this old man had broken through the spatial barrier between Al Heaven and the Alliance. The vortex in the sky suddenly stopped and unexpectedly stopped rotating before this finger. It gradually spread open, exposing a world that was still blood red even without the blood sea. There was a cone-shaped mountain in this blood-colored world, and there was a person standing on top of it. This person's red hair moved without any wind, and his eyes were blood red. His red eyes were filled with killing intent and an indomitable arrogance. No one would pay attention to his appearance because those eyes would draw all of your attention. Tuo Sen. Wang Lin had a complicated expression. Their fate was entangled. If Wang Lin hadn't appeared, Tuo Sen would have obtained the inheritance of knowledge and escaped long ago. He would be able to rule the stars with Tusi's body. After all, he was also Tusi. Even though Tuo Sen was born as an inner demon when Tusi failed to cultivate a spell, whether he was an inner demon or not, Tuo Sen was a real ancient god, a real royal ancient god. Unlike Tuo Sen, Wang Lin's ancient god body was formed through the ancient god tactic. Even though he was able to reach the star stage due to a series of good opportunities, when his original body faced the 3 trials 7 calamities before, Wang Lin knew his ancient god body wasn't perfect. The complicated expression disappeared the moment Tuo Sen raised his head and looked at Wang Lin. Instead, it was replaced by a calm coldness. The human and god entangled by fate silently looked at each other through the vortex. The two people from two different worlds crossed paths. Tuo Sen's mouth twitched and he took a step. He left the mountain and arrived above the vortex. His gaze swept by. When Master Flamespark made contact with Tuo Sen's gaze, his mind couldn't help but be shaken. He unexpectedly felt his own heartbeat. His heart pounded even faster, and his mouth became dry. His face became even more pale, and he subconsciously backed away. He didn't dare to look at Tuo Sen. It was as if this person was the heavens. Waste! Tuo Sen's gaze was filled with contempt. When his gaze fell on the 8 kings of the corpse sect, the contempt became even stronger. At least waste are people. You all are worse than waste. The 8 kings of the corpse sect had very high statuses in the corpse sect. However, at this moment, before Tuo Sen's gaze, they were even worse off than Master Flamespark. Their faces were pale, and they constantly retreated. That gaze felt almost corporeal, and almost made them lose their wits. They felt like if this man raged, then even the heavens had to yield. They had never seen Tuo Sen's power, but for some reason they immediately felt danger when they saw Tuo Sen. This feeling was very strange, but it clearly reminded the 8 of them of the existence of danger. Because Tuo Sen was a god, an 8-star ancient god, and they were just mortals, mere cultivators. Only the old man in black was calm, and he slowly said, "Royal blood ancient god-s soul." Tuo Sen's gaze landed on the old man in black. His gaze didn't change as he coldly said, "Finally, an existence that's not a waste." The old man wasn't angry at all, and he faintly smiled. He casually waved his right hand, and a thunderous rumble echoed in the void between him and Tuo Sen. The collapse set off an invisible storm. That charged straight at Tuo Sen. Facing the collapse of the void, Tuo Sen raised his right hand and threw a punch. The world trembled, and the void trembled violently. At this moment, some Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had arrived. When they saw this punch, their faces changed greatly. They were filled with fear and panic. Wang Lin's face was pale. He clearly felt the power of this punch. When this punch landed, the trembling of the void reached a peak. A giant crack appeared between the old man and Tuo Sen. The sound of space tearing could be heard as the thunderous rumbles echoed. In the blink of an eye, it seemed like this void was split in half. It looked like a piece of paper being split down the middle and becoming 2 halves. The crack in the void immediately tore the world Tuo Sen was in into 2 different realms. The old man in black took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. When he reappeared, he was on the other side of the void. His hands didn't even need to form seals. He waved his sleeve, causing a loud rumble. Glaciers appeared and soon covered more than 5,000 kilometers of space. This 5,000-kilometer area was filled with glaciers, and they all collapsed and charged at Tuo Sen. A mere spell. So what if you have reached the Nirvana Void stage and are enlightened in law? So what? Tuo Sen's eyes were filled with monstrous arrogance as he let out a laugh and threw another punch. My ancient god clan doesn't cultivate laws because these laws are things my clan break. When Tuo Sen's punch landed, crackling sounds echoed across the world of ice. Whether it was the glaciers rushing at him or the endless ice covering this 5,000-kilometer area, they all collapsed before this punch. The old man in black charged out with a serious expression. The 5,000 kilometers of ice collapsed into a storm, but Tuo Sen flew out. I'll let all of you see the true power of my clan. Tuo Sen's gaze wasn't on the old man in black, but on Wang Lin. At this instant, his body gradually disappeared into the void. At the same time, the void shook once more, and cracks appeared as if a violent force was going to tear the void open. A vortex appeared where Tuo Sen disappeared, and it contained a powerful suction force. The old man in black calmly stepped into the vortex. All of you come. This will be this dark god's true power, the old man's voice echoed. Wang Lin didn't hesitate to enter the vortex. He had a complicated expression. He was vaguely aware that this vortex would lead them to the physical space where Tusi's body was. In the spatial crack, there was the body of a giant ancient god that was the size of several cultivation planets. His finger moved a bit and slowly formed a fist. The closed eyes on his face that had been closed for countless years opened for the first time. The last 2 days of the month are upon us, wishing for the like button for the VIDEO. Right now, it's about doubling the likes for the VIDEO. Very grateful and will return the favor. Chapter untitled. Situ Nan told him that during the soul transformation stage, the nascent soul transforms and becomes larger. However, the body doesn't grow at all, and the nascent soul was only this large when it s outside of the body. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the ground, took out the gourd, took a big gulp, and began charging toward the mid-stage of foundation establishment. The reason he was doing this here was because Situ Nan once told Wang Lin that doing this would help him recover. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye, the deadline for the trial to enter the foreign battleground was almost here. A lot of cultivators had arrived outside the Ju-Ming Valley months ago. They all found the best locations to watch the Ju-Ming Valley's only exit. As more and more cultivators arrived, the area outside the Ju-Ming Valley became more and more lively. Of course, if anyone with grudges met, they would start a big fight. Due to the foreign battleground opening up every 100 years, the area within 1,000 kilometers of the Ju-Ming Valley had been prepared with buildings. It has to be said that the opening of the foreign battleground gathers all of the top cultivators in Zhao. When the time for the foreign battleground to open is near, these buildings become the biggest marketplace in Zhao. All of the cultivators in Zhao meet in these buildings, making them very lively. Many materials and rare magic treasures appear here. On this day, countless cultivators gathered outside of the Ju-Ming Valley. There were cultivators from all of the numerous sects in Zhao. Aside from the very large sects, who had their own area, everyone else was clumped in groups. The remaining people were from very small families, small sects, or independent cultivators. These small families, small sects, and independent cultivators didn't have the right to enter the foreign battleground. They showed up hoping to get something. Every time the foreign battleground opens, a large amount of spiritual energy leaks out. Absorbing just a bit of that spiritual energy would equal to weeks of cultivation. Seeing that the Ju-Ming Valley was about to open, everyone found somewhere to wait for the opening. At noon on this day, the sky was blue and the sun was high in the sky. The temperature was slowly rising. It was extremely hot, but none of the cultivators outside minded as their attention was focused on the exit of the Ju-Ming Valley. Cultivators with experience all knew that the Ju-Ming Valley would open exactly at noon. If one were to look from the sky at the Ju-Ming Valley, they would find that it was shaped like a gourd. The mouth of the gourd was the only entrance. On each side of the entrance were two very tall mountains, and at the entrance was an octagon formation. The formation suddenly began to shine. Not far from the entrance, the nascent soul cultivators of the demonic sects gathered. Among them was Tang Huayuan's thin figure. His eyes were filled with excitement and killing intent as he stared at the formation at the entrance. The formation became brighter and brighter, then 8 people slowly walked out. Tang Huayuan's eyes were filled with disappointment as his right hand took out a flag. He squeezed the flag and one of the souls on it disappeared. Seeing the 8 people walking out, the cultivators of the Ju-Ming sect started to point and talk. They came out. Look, they came out. Normally, the first ones to come out are the ones that have lost their token. I wonder which sect that is. What is this? Why are there so many people? Normally, the first sect to come out has the least amount of people. They came out. I see Zhou Yu. They are disciples of the Piao Miao sect. The Piao Miao lost their token last time, and now they lost it again. It seems one of the largest of the orthodox sects isn't that great. If my Futian sect went, we would probably be stronger. Brother Zhang, the strongest person in your sect is only at the early stage of core formation. The Piao Miao sect can send any ancestor and they will wipe out your sect. If you ask me, the Piao Miao sect failed because the disciples of the demonic sects are too strong. Among the top 8 sects, aside from the Ji Mi sect, whose nascent soul cultivator had died, which made them lose the right to participate, all of the nascent soul ancestors of the remaining 7 sects were present. Currently, the Piao Miao sect's sect head, Xianxia's face was dark as he silently stared at the entrance. The 8 members of the Piao Miao sect walked out with strange expressions on their faces. Seeing all of the people outside the valley and hearing their chatter, their faces turned red as they walked with their heads down toward Xianxia. Xianxia tried his best to contain his anger. He had spent a lot of resources for the right to enter the foreign battleground. He sent a total of 25 disciples. 3 were at the late stage and 8 at the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Although the remaining disciples were all at the early stage, he handed out a lot of magic treasures. He was dead set on qualifying this time no matter what, but looking at it now, only 8 out of 25 people survived. While Xianxia was looking at the 8 disciples, the ancestor of the Yuantian sect, named Yun, was nearby and laughed at him. He said, "Brother Xin, it's not that big of a deal to lose the battle to enter the foreign battleground. The cleanup of the foreign battleground is quite dangerous. Normally, only 1 out of 10 disciples come out alive. Now you don't have to worry about your disciples anymore. That's only 100 years until the next one." Xianxia sneered, "Brother Shangguan, there is no need to be sarcastic here. Since I lost the bet, I won back out on our agreement." With that, he looked at the 8 disciples and gloomily asked, "Your eldest apprentice brother died?" One of them knelt on the ground and whispered, "They all died, all of the other disciples are dead." The remaining 7 all knelt on the ground. Their faces were filled with fear. Yun sneered in his heart, but on his face he showed mercy as he silently shook his head. Xianxia's face sunk as he said, "So many people died. Good. Which sect killed them?" The first disciple that knelt on the ground hesitated. Xianxia waved his hand and a barrier surrounded the Piao Miao sect disciples. Yun raised his head and sneered in his heart. After blocking out other people's divine senses, Xianxia motioned for the disciple to talk, and the disciple quickly spilled everything. After Xianxia finished listening, he was startled and his eyes turned cold. After a while, he coldly snorted and said, "You guys stay behind me. I have to see who he really is." With that, he waved his hand and the barrier disappeared. Yun, who was on the side, said, "Why isn't fellow cultivator Shu Mei here? The end of the month is here. Wishing for the like button for the video. Brothers, do you still have likes for the video? You are listening to a completely free audiobook on the Leo Audio YouTube channel. If you enjoy the story, please like the video to motivate the channel. Support Leo with a cup of coffee through the description link or on the screen. If you want to hear any other stories, just comment and let Leo know. Thank you very much for watching the video. Chapter 1135, Might of the Ancient God. The moment the giant ancient god opened his eyes, the spatial crack he was in trembled violently. It was as if an unimaginable aura had suddenly flooded the spatial crack, causing it to become unstable. It felt like it could be torn apart at any moment. His eyes were as calm as a dead sea, revealing the passage of time. His rough skin was like the earth of a dried-up, abandoned planet. The giant stared silently into the void, and the giant's expression gradually became ferocious. There were 8 dim stars on his forehead, but as his eyes opened and he awakened from his long slumber, a light appeared from the first ancient god star. A thunderous rumble echoed across the entire spatial crack. This sound was far more powerful than thunder, but if one listened closely, they would hear that it was the sound of bones rubbing against each other. The body was the size of several cultivation planets, and a cultivation planet was just like a toy before it. The ancient god slowly got up. The distance the ancient god moved just to get up would take a cultivator that didn't know spatial bending several hours to cross. Wang Lin stared at the giant ancient god before him. The moment the ancient god got up, a gust of wind blew at him, causing him and everyone around him to be pushed back. Only the old man in black stared ahead with a mysterious light in his eyes. Compared to the ancient god, these cultivators were several times smaller than ants. "I am ancient god Tuo Sen," a mighty voice echoed, and the surrounding space began to crack. The 8 kings of the corpse sect were pale and wanted to retreat. However, any distance they moved was meaningless to the giant ancient god. This is Godmaster Flamespark's expression became even more pale as he stared at the ancient god's unimaginably large body. Even with his cultivation level, he felt a sense of helplessness. Wang Lin had the lowest cultivation level. Although he didn't cough out blood, more crackling sounds came from his body. More cracks appeared, and the crack on his chest penetrated his body. His expression was blank, his origin soul was injured, and the body showed signs of turning back to rock. Nirvana Shatterer cultivators had also entered the vortex. Thanks to their cultivation levels, they weren't affected by the law of time at all, but right now it was as if their minds were going to collapse. The voice caused their origin souls to become unstable as the thunderous sound echoed in their ears. The gaze of the ancient god that sat up turned cold, and the second star lit up. If one were to take a closer look, they would see that there was something special within the star that lit up. He looked at the cultivators floating before him, and raised his hand to swat at them like a mortal would do when he was trying to drive away some flies. His hands was the size of cultivation planets, and when he moved them, the wind they created contained a power that was impossible to resist. It was as if distance had no meaning for the ancient god. It only took a moment for him to lift his right arm and wave it. However, for all the cultivators, the hand replaced everything in their view. Rumble, 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 rumble. Before the deafening roar had even entered people's ears, the hand was already near. It was impossible to describe the speed of the arm. The Nirvana Shatterer cultivator in front couldn't escape at all, so he activated his full power and layers of protection appeared before him. Then, in the instant the tens of thousands of layers of protection appeared, he retreated. He was trying to take a serious injury in order to resist against this cultivation planet-sized hand. The arm closed in and touched the protection layer around the cultivator. The tens of thousands of layers of protection were as fragile as a thin piece of paper before the ancient god's arm. The tens of thousands layers of protection around the cultivator all collapsed at once. In truth, there was a tiny bit of time between the collapse of each layer, but the difference was so small it was pointless. The arm didn't stop at all and simply swept by. The cultivator that had spent countless years to finally reach the early stage of Nirvana Shatterer revealed a miserable smile as his body exploded into a mist of blood that splattered on the ancient god's arm. His origin soul also dissipated. It turned into origin energy and was absorbed through a crack on the ancient god's rough skin. Seeing that the ancient god wasn't going to stop, the old man in black's eyes revealed a strange light. He took a step, and he crossed an immeasurable distance and arrived before the ancient god's arm. The old man's body was really insignificant compared to the giant arm. He was completely negligible. However, the old man was calm as he raised his right hand and his palm smashed forward. It was as if countless bolts of thunder had exploded between the old man and the ancient god's arm. The earth-shattering thunderclap echoed across the void. The arm that didn't seem like it would stop actually stopped when it collided with the old man's palm. At this instant, the wind finally caught up to the ancient god's arm and blew on the old man. The wind that could cause bodies to collapse and origin souls to shatter only blew the old man's hair backwards. One strand of hair cracked and was blown back. The old man's black clothes were blown back and tearing sounds came from his sleeves as 7 rips appeared. The lower part of the robe turned to dust. His right palm that collided with the ancient god's arm trembled as if ripples were moving through his skin. This ripple went through his right arm and his right sleeve tore a few more times before it turned to dust. The old man raised his head and his eyes lit up. His complexion turned red, but he suppressed the blood in his throat. He revealed a smile, then his left hand quickly pointed to the back of his right hand 5 times. When the first finger landed, an invisible force seemed to break this closed-off spatial crack. Endless origin energy came from all directions within 5,000 kilometers, entered the back of his right hand, and went into the ancient god's arm. The origin energy within 5,000 kilometers wasn't enough to deal with an ancient god. When the old man's finger landed a second time, enough origin energy to destroy the world gathered form 50,000 kilometers, 500,000 kilometers, 5,000,000 kilometer, to create a powerful force that rushed into the ancient god's arm. All of this happened in an instant. It was so fast the surrounding cultivators had no chance to react. As a thunderous rumble echoed, the ancient god's arm was unexpectedly knocked back by the old man. The old man's hand parted from the ancient god's arm but left a very clear black handprint on it. You are worthy of being the rumored 8-star royal ancient god that was beyond law and only Nirvana Void cultivators could fight. I once participated in killing an ordinary 8-star ancient god, and the difference is like heaven and earth. The old man retreated, and the redness on his face faded and was replaced with paleness. However, his eyes were bright as the moon and filled with battle intent. After retreating 7 steps, the old man's head jerked up and he rushed forward. He stepped on the arm of the ancient god to borrow force, and then jumped toward Tuosin's face. Tuosin's eyes were still cold, and he revealed a look of contempt and arrogance. He lightly shook his right hand and the handprint collapsed. Then a thunderous roar echoed as he slowly stood up. This motion made him tower over everyone, and a power similar to the heavens might descended on everyone. After the 2 stars between Tuosin's eyebrows lit up, the third one also slowly lit up. However, there was something hidden deep within this third star, but it couldn't be clearly seen or felt. Only Wang Lin stared at Tuosen before him, especially at Tuosen's star far away. His heart was filled with shock, as he knew of an 8-star royal ancient goddess spells. He only knew the names, but had no memory of how to use the spells. Bury the void to refine the stars. Waste! A buzzing sound echoed as Tuosen waved his hands at the old man, causing a huge gust of wind. His arms moved as fast as spatial bending and instantly closed in on the old man. His 2 hands were like 2 cultivation planets smashing toward the old man. The old man's face turned red once more and his clothes puffed up. His left and right arms stretched open and he let out a roar, causing endless origin energy to condense before his arms. Glaciers suddenly appeared, followed by a sea of flames. Then beyond that were countless mountains followed by endless thunder. These countless spells appeared in an instant and layered on top of each other. The old man's arms remained stretched as these spells bombarded the ancient god's arms. At this instant, the spatial brack trembled violently and a thunderous roar echoed. From afar, it looked like countless fireworks were being set off on Tuosen's arms. However, these spells only caused Tuosen's arms to stop for a moment, but this was enough for the old man in black to get out of the range of the arms and charge at Tuosen's head. Master Wu Ji, if you still want to appear, don't blame this old man for not keeping my promise. Did you forget our agreement? The old man in black shouted as he moved. The end of the month, wishing for the like button for the video, don't hold back, it's expiring. Chapter 1136. Escape to the other end of the world. As this voice echoed, the middle-aged scholar sitting in the 4th star on Tuosen's head opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness, but they also contained a hint of bitterness. Master Lufu, I didn't forget our promise, but I am powerless. You leave quickly. An ancient voice filled with bitterness slowly spread across the void. However, the 4th star began to shine bright and brighter, and just as it reached the brightness of the other 3 stars, this voice disappeared completely. Just at the moment the voice disappeared, the old man in black's expression changed greatly. Wang Lin was also shocked, and with his understanding of ancient god, he vaguely guessed something. Just at this moment, Master Wu Ji's faded voice echoed once more. This time it was an angry roar. Leave quickly. The 4th star was originally extremely dark and could only be vaguely seen in this darkness. However, as Tuosen awakened, the star seemed to revive and was no longer dim. It began to light up and illuminate the surroundings. The middle-aged scholar sitting there looked normal, but if you looked closer, you would be shocked to find that the lower half of his body had integrated with the ground. They were linked together without any separation. The light didn't appear from a random direction. It started with this middle-aged scholar as the center. Every time the light got brighter, the middle-aged scholar's complexion would become paler and weaker. At this moment, the area he was in lit up and brightened the whole area. His body also withered in the blink of an eye, and now he looked like a skeleton. However, he didn't die, he wouldn't die. He could only spend countless here. It was just he wasn't willing to give up, and this unwillingness led him to struggle. His facial expression twisted as he forced his cultivation to activate and he let out a roar. The pupils of the old man in black shrank and his expression became serious as he backed up. His eyes stared at the 4th star on Tuosen's head. At that moment, he clearly felt Master Wu Ji's voice come from there. However, what was strange was that when the old man in black's divine sense swept by, he found nothing. Thinking about Master Wu Ji's words, the old man in black's mind trembled, and he retreated without hesitation. None of you can escape. The contempt in Tuosen's cold gaze became even stronger, and there was a hint of mockery in it. His gaze viewed everyone as ants and was extremely arrogant. You re my 5th ancient god star after Master Wu Ji. Tuosen's voice echoed across the world. Then he mercilessly took a step forward. However, at this moment, his 4th star shined brightly. The light was very different from the other 3 stars, and it seemed like it was going to collapse. This caused Tuosen's right foot to stop for a moment. The old man in black was retreating, but he turned around as his right hand reached at the void and a broken sword appeared. It was only half a sword, but the moment it appeared, an unimaginable pressure spread out. The old man bit the tip of his tongue and spat out blood on the broken sword. He then threw it at Tuosen. This broken sword whistled out with a heaven-shaking killing intent and sword energy as it rushed out. Tuo Sen's foot stopped for a moment before continuing, but the moment it came into contact with the broken sword, Tuo Sen let out an angry roar and blood appeared. The broken sword unexpectedly penetrated Tuo Sen's right foot. It carried an irresistible force as it broke through the leg and charged toward Tuo Sen's face. The broken sword's spell was far beyond what a Nirvana Shatterer cultivator could do. Not even Heaven's Blight cultivators could match the speed of this sword. All of this only took a moment, and the broken sword pierced through Tuo Sen's right left. In another flash, the sword closed in on Tuo Sen's face and charged at the fourth star. At this moment, the light coming from the fourth star became even stronger, as if Master Wuji was struggling to escape. However, just as the broken sword broke all barriers and was within 100 feet of the fourth star, the third star also shined brightly. A person unexpectedly walked out from the third star. This person was like a skeleton, making it impossible to see their original appearance, and their entire body was naked. They only took one step to arrive next to the broken sword, and they mercilessly pinched it. It was difficult to describe the grace of the pinch. In Wang Lin's view, this pinch went with the flow and activated some kind of law of the world. That seemed inappropriate, because it was as if the law of the world had changed due to this person's action. The broken sword suddenly stopped and two fingers appeared around it. No matter how hard the sword struggled, it couldn't escape the two fingers. However, the owner of the two fingers, the skeleton-like cultivator, also suffered a powerful impact. Popping sounds came from his body as if his body was going to collapse. His dark eyes shined brightly and a crescent moon mark appeared between his eyebrows. The bright mark appeared in everyone's eyes. With a roar, his right hand mercilessly threw the broken sword to the side, causing it to fly upwards. After doing all this, the skeleton's chest moved up and down rapidly as he returned to the third star. This scene caused Wang Lin's face to become bitter. The old man in black's eyes flashed once, then he waved his right hand without hesitation and the broken sword disappeared. He immediately turned around to leave. He was very fast and even broke the spatial crack, and he was about to leave. Escape. Tuo Sen's eyes revealed a ghostly light. The fifth star was completely dark, but at this moment, it began to rotate on its own due to some unknown spell. The rotation reached a peak, and from a distance it looked like a black hole. The star flew off from Tuo Sen's forehead and headed toward the old man in black. However, the moment the star flew off Tuo Sen's head, the fourth star shined brightly, and the light burst out. It wrapped around the fifth star that had flown out and blocked its path. Master Lufu, quickly leave! This old man was wrong, very wrong. I shouldn't have tried to covet the power of the royal ancient god to break through the early stage of Nirvana Void. And now I ended up like this. Inside the fourth star, Master Wuji coughed out blood, and his body trembled. He was using his connection with the ancient god to stop the fifth star from absorbing Master Lufu. He knew that if Master Lufu was devoured, he would never have a chance of escaping in his life. If he wanted to escape, then he had to risk it all to save Master Lufu. Only then would he have a chance of survival in the future. The old man in black didn't hesitate, and stepped forward. Ripples appeared before him to form a vortex. Just at this moment, Tuo Sen's eyes became cold, and he ignored the fact that his fifth star's devour was stopped. He lifted his right hand and pulled back in the void. Purple lightning immediately appeared to form a giant spear the size of several cultivation planets. God-slaying spear. This was the real royal ancient god treasure, God-slaying spear. Holding this spear, Tuo Sen had a ferocious expression, and he mercilessly threw it. The god-slaying spear flew through the air with an earth-shattering whistle. It was filled with the power of the ancient god as it charged at the old man in black. It was too fast for the eyes or divine sense to detect. Spatial cracks appeared along the space it passed, forming a trail of destruction. The old man in black's expression was gloomy. Even if he could step into the vortex, he would still be injured by the god-slaying spear. Once he was delayed and the fifth star broke free of Master Wuji, then it was likely for him to be trapped here. However, he didn't have time to think too much. His hands formed a seal and the broken sword appeared before him once more. He coughed out blood and waved his hand, then the broken sword charged out at the god-slaying spear. Wang Lin silently watched. He had clearly seen how strong Tuo-sen was. Although he had memories of how strong Tusi was, seeing it personally was different from memories. He stared at the god-slaying spear that flew through the void. To others, this spear might seemed like the heavens might, like it could kill all creatures, but to Wang Lin, it was only a treasure. The broken sword immediately collided with the god-slaying spear. The size of the broken sword couldn't compare to the god-slaying spear at all, but its aura was only a bit weaker. Although it was impossible to even see the broken sword, there was a loud rumble and the god-slaying spear paused for a moment. A thunderous rumble echoed as the broken sword was pushed back and disappeared into the void. The god-slaying spear trembled, and thunderous rumbles echoed inside the spear before it charged out once more. I can let the old man in black be devoured by Tuosen's star. This was the only thought in Wang Lin's mind. The moment the god-slaying spear paused, he didn't hesitate to charge forward. His speed reached its limit, and he arrived before the giant god-slaying spear. His action caused the old man in black's pupils to shrink, caused Master Flamespark to tremble, and caused the 8 kings of the corpse sect to be filled with terror. Wang Lin closed his eyes, and the moment the god-slaying spear closed in, his body collapsed, leaving behind the sliver of origin soul. Before it was destroyed, his sliver of origin soul formed a seal and sent out a command at the god-slaying spear. I use my will to hinder your path. The god-slaying spear trembled for a moment, but a violent aura suddenly came out. It represented Tuosen's will. It collided with Wang Lin's fragile origin soul and caused it to collapse. I'll save the first ancient god star for you. This was the last thing Wang Lin heard after his origin soul was annihilated. Wang Lin's obstruction and that pause gave the old man enough time to enter the vortex and disappear. Master Flamespark and the 8 kings of the corpse sect all rushed into the vortex and disappeared. The god-slaying spear directly collided with the vortex, and a powerful force echoed through the vortex. Master Flamespark had just barely left the vortex and was affected by this force. He coughed out blood and immediately looked weakened. Both of his legs exploded, and even his origin soul became unstable. He let out a miserable smile, and his hatred for Tuo-sen increased greatly. It was only second to his hatred for Master Zhongshuan. Seeing the force come once more, madness filled Master Flamespark's eyes. He was about to give up his body in exchange for his origin soul's escape. The old man in black appeared next to Master Flamespark. He grabbed Master Flamespark and disappeared. The 8 kings of the corpse sect finally escaped, but that shocking force immediately arrived. All 8 of their bodies trembled and collapsed, and 8 cold auras escaped. However, before this terrifying power, 5 of them collapsed. The remaining 3 took out coffins as they rushed in and obtained new bodies to escape with. However, that shocking force echoed once more, causing their bodies to collapse again. This cycle continued. This less than 10,000 feet of distance was like the apocalypse for them. They left a trail of blood mist as another died. The remaining 2 kings of the corpse sect were about to lose their wits. Seeing the force close in on them once more, the 2 became desperate. At this moment, a black vortex suddenly appeared beside them and 2 arms reached out. The arms grabbed the 2 of them and pulled them into the vortex. Lord Sovereign! Their eyes filled with ecstasy and they didn't resist, allowing the arms to drag them into the vortex. At this moment, the force from the god-slaying spear entered the vortex. There was a groan of someone being injured, but it seemed they still survived, and the vortex disappeared. On the moon outside planet Suzaku, inside a very ordinary mountain, Wang Lin opened his eyes. After a moment of confusion, he immediately stood up and waved his right hand to put the female corpse away.